City, the sports and home of the OKC Thunder, a Cumulus station. This hour is transmitted by AMCO, the transmission experts, with 10 AMCO locations.
I guess here we go.
In Tulsa Metros, WED.com. Time to look both ways, speed up, and merge. This is The Drive with Matt Ravis. And now joined by the middle of the day show, Mark Rodgers, on a Gundy Hump Day with Cale Gundy.
Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
The Drive is on 98.1 FM, WWLS, The Sports Animal, thesportsanimal.com, and the Sports Animal app. This is what's trending now on The Sports Animal.
Well, the Sooners have come and gone from SEC Media Day. Today, though, we'll have Georgia and Texas, among others, on the docket, and expect to have some players along for Mark and Cale to interview down there in Dallas at the Omni. How you doing today, Mark and Cale?
What up? How are you, Matt?
Good, Matt.
Doing good. Cale, you're in for Mathis Home today, correct?
I am. Mathis Home has locations in Oklahoma City, Middle City, and Tulsa, the largest selection in the state. Something for everyone at the lowest prices every day. So take advantage of the new lower prices that they make deals and pass the savings on to you. At whatever your style, they have it in stock so you don't have to wait. Mathis Home.
Awesome. I'm going to make a deal with you guys right now, and you can choose to accept or decline, but I was going to go ahead and throw this out there. We don't have to talk about the horns down thing if you don't want to. In fact, I would probably rather not. But if you guys are fired up about it, we can. I know everybody wants to hear about that, but it's kind of old hat at this point, isn't it? Feels like we've been over this before.
Well, I think the SEC is handling it the right way. There's no reason that you can – I think it's relevant, though, that when you start to talk about now is that it's not this league. Texas can't throw its weight around. Nick Saban kind of laughed about it on Monday. I mean, they're one of 16. They are powerful. They are important. There's a lot of buzz about them here in Dallas. There's a little more cars in the parking lot today than there was yesterday.
A lot more.
But Texas, that's kind of dumb. I mean, there could be a hand signal for any kind of team. It's not a big deal. So I think the SEC got it right.
Definitely. Yeah, it's time to move on from that. We got more important things we got to worry about than fingers and up and fingers down.
You know, I seem to remember a guy wearing number 12 in red taking a helmet off and flashing the horns down 31 years ago. Is my memory kind of?
Now, do we know that guy or not, or who are you talking about?
Were you like 2 years old?
I was how old? You don't want to know. I was 11.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that happening.
Those were the good days. That was back because I was just running for my life.
No,
I was happy I was alive.
You had gotten in the end zone, I believe. That was a fun day. I do remember that.
Yeah, they probably started the 15-yard penalty for taking your head off. The celebration. That probably what started the pot. What do you think?
That was an era where there was a lot of that going on.
Another interesting penalty. They're taking the helmet off. Got to keep the helmet on at all costs. I think you got to punish the offenders and make sure that people don't make that a habit.
Guys,
it makes sense.
A lot of buzz down here today. A lot of buzz, like Mark said. We pulled in the parking lot, and there's been plenty of parking spaces, but there's a lot of cars in the parking lot today. Of course, you got Texas here, and you got Alabama here, and a lot of buzz around Texas. I'm struggling with it, and again, I understand that their schedule is a little different, but man, it just seems like everybody just is giving them the hall pass and just saying, hey, this team is in the SEC and they're going to be one of the top teams, and in the years to come, and talking to the Texas folks, they think there's big things ahead of Texas football here in the future.
Well, Nick Saban, is interesting hearing him predict the Longhorns to get to the title game, and part of that. By the way, he also said he hated playing Texas. Also kind of warned Georgia about it. But Saban also said, I'm picking a Georgia-Texas conference championship game. And part of his reasoning was, even if Quinn Ewers does go down, he believes in Arch Manning. Sounds like he is a believer. So Nick Saban at least picking the Longhorns to get to the title game.
It's a busy day for him yesterday. He was taking part of all this television and talking about Oklahoma and Texas and talking with Cale, and then headed over and sat next to Joe Torre at the All-Star game last night.
Better national anthem effort last night than the home run.
We didn't see it. I didn't see it last night. I'm trying to figure out how to even turn the TV on in the beach house, and we got in right like the second or third batter of the game. We did see all of the Skeens batters.
We talked a lot about those uniforms. They were not good.
It's worse than the national anthem on Monday.
Well, we got a preview from it, guys, I think Monday night in the Home Run Derby with the socks. I saw some guys wearing some of those funky-looking socks. I still don't. I haven't looked into it or read enough about it. I don't know what the idea is and where that's coming from. But I just hate that. If you want to do something, I mentioned to Mark, go back and find some baseball teams' jerseys or uniforms from the 1920s and 30s and just pick out a National League and an American League and just replicate your uniforms for that. I thought that was a bad deal. I didn't like that.
That shouldn't be the takeaway from the All-Star game. Like the first thing that you say is, oh yeah, those uniforms looked horrible. Like it should probably be Paul Skeens, and I wanted to see him throw some gas. He did. I wanted to see Ohtani hit a home run. He did. So I got to see what I wanted to from the All-Star game, but the jerseys kind of took the cake, and that was what we led with today because they were horrible. They need to go back to – I like your idea, Cale. Go back to the retro unis.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
30 years after the All-Star game, 30 years after, is that would be like the uniform they wore 30 years ago?
Man, I would have think they would have
– time frame?
What do you mean? Like those are the ones they would have worn back in the 90s? That's what you're saying?
If you want to go uniforms of the past, like you want to go 50
years
back, 30 years back, 20 years back, 10 years back?
At least.
30 years back?
Yeah.
30 years is kind of the sweet spot. That'd be maybe 40 for me would be the sweet spot. That'd be my team.
Some of those old Tampa Bay Ray uniforms, I would love to see those trotted out.
I don't know
again.
what you do 40 years ago for the Rockies. That's a little
yeah,
bit
they don't have the
time.
long and storied
Again,
history.
the Rockies, I don't think, have any All-Stars. So the current uniforms are a really good choice.
Yeah, and let me ask you this.
It's got to be that way.
Do you guys did you like them being able to wear the uniform from their team? I did.
Yes.
That's the way it should be.
I love that.
It's simple.
I like that.
One team wears white, one team wears gray, and then you go on.
Some of the most iconic photos in baseball history are of that. Of like there's one photo I have in my mind of the National League in the late 60s, and you've got I think Bob Gibson was starting the game for the Cardinals, and you've got like Ernie Banks and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron. They're all lined up on the third base line. It's an iconic photo. Brother, I will say this. Loyal listener, buddy of mine named John. You guys probably know him if I gave his last name out. He said he was watching the game last night with his son and a bunch of his friends. All the 10-year-olds love it. Take it for what it's worth. So I said, well,
that's who it's for then.
In fairness, they're looking for a demo that I'm not a part of. So that's
who it's for.
What do the 10-year-olds like about it?
I have no effing clue. I don't know.
It's different. They like different.
Just different, yeah. I know.
But that does make sense. But we did get a chance to see some 104-mile-per-hour fastballs last night.
God, is he something else?
More than just Skeens.
Yeah,
there were others.
102s, 103s, 104s.
Guys that get really.
There's a lot of talent and really a lot of young talent in the MLB right now. And they're like the TV ratings. I know we've talked a lot about how baseball is going down and attendance and all that. All that's up right now. I think that has to do with a lot of the young players. So the demographic that Matt's pointing out, I think that's probably our answer. They're trying to stay in the league.
There definitely is excitement around it. I mean, look at the season Aaron Judge is having. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he is leading the American League in a lot of different categories.
I played against a guy, a long time ago. Matt brought it up, 31 years. Might have been longer than that because it was at Middle City High School. Faced a pitcher. Mark, you might remember his name was Scott Ebert. He played in Edmond High School, and he threw 93, 94. And I can remember facing him my junior year, and we actually beat him. We beat him 2-1. But 93, 94 back then is probably like 103, 104 now.
Oh, yeah.
Drafted in the second round.
I mean, I was, I played baseball all my life, but I was halfway nervous going up there to bat and stung one off the end of my bat, and then my hands just shook right to the first baseman.
Ooh. I bet that wasn't a good feeling.
Oh, no, it was tough.
We have a guest
awesome.
that's going to join us here in just a second, and so I think I want to try to. I think I know how to do this. Our fearless leader is
Hit
gone.
the record button there.
Yeah, I hit the record button. This is Jacob Hester. He played at LSU and works for ESPN, does various other things for LSU also. How do you know this guy?
He's a legend.
Hold on. I'm not quite as good.
Gotta have a headset.
Okay.
Oh, there you
How
go.
do you know this
There
guy?
They
you
don't
go.
trust me with the buttons because I'm a card-carrying member of Meathead Nation. So you're doing better than me.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows, Cale. I mean, coaching career.
Yeah. Recruited you back to the day.
Recruited me back. I was trying to think of the year. Oh my God, 2000 and
whatever.
it'd have been 03, like school year,
Yeah.
going into 04 class.
Why did you say no to Cale?
So Oklahoma was a strong choice of mine. My visit to Oklahoma, they played against Texas Tech after Texas Tech had beat Chris Sims and Texas in Lubbock. I think Texas was like top 5. They come to Oklahoma the next week. So I was on Texas Tech's official visit the week before, watched them beat Texas. I went to Oklahoma to watch them play Tech. And Quentin Griffin, I think, ran for about 1 billion yards and 4 touchdowns. It was a great environment. I really, really considered Oklahoma. But you know what? I'm a confident guy. I think I've got a pretty good skill set, or I did have a pretty good skill set. There was this guy named Adrian Peterson, though, that was the same class as me. And I'm like, look, I got some self-confidence, but I also know thyself. He might be the best running back I've ever seen. So, it wasn't because Cale didn't do his job.
So my brother didn't go to OU because OU just won a national championship with a guy named Jamel Holloway.
Yep.
And he didn't think he had the skills enough to run the wishbone and beat Jamel Holloway out.
Yeah.
So that's why he went to Oklahoma State.
You got to make smart decisions sometimes.
That's right. That's right.
That's good. We've been talking a lot about LSU and the defensive woes that they had last year. They're shocking if you put them on paper. Where they were in the SEC. To have that kind of offense, do they get it fixed in the offseason?
It can't be as bad, and I don't say that in tongue in cheek. It can't be. They were 104 in total defense.
Wow.
And it is crazy because LSU for a long time they were known for their great defense. They had no offense, and then it kind of just flipped. They don't have to be, the 2011 LSU defense with the Honey Badger and everybody going and being the number 1 defense in the country. They just have to not be awful. You know what I'm saying? Like be 55th.
The offense should be good enough.
The offense should be good enough. If you were number 1 last year in offense, if you go to 15, but you're 55th in total defense and not 104, you're probably a playoff team.
That's right.
So they just have to get a little bit, but not a little bit. They got to get a lot better because they were so bad last year. But they got to get fundamentally sound. There was too many coverage breakdowns. There was too many guys shooting the wrong gap. Like if you're playing quarter halves, let's play quarter halves. Let's don't play quarters on one side, and you got another coverage going on another side. Like everybody's got to be tuned in. Last year, man, you'd have some guys, the safety expecting the corner to do one thing, he's doing his own thing, and that part of it, the communication part of it. And Matt House, I think, is a really good coach. I think he's a pro coach. I don't think he's a college coach, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
Right. And so Blake Baker comes in from Missouri. I think they get better just by being fundamentally sound.
I like that. That makes sense because the offense is going to be good enough. And if the defense can just kind of somehow get to the middle part of the pack, there's no telling what this season could be. I mean, it seems like that LSU is always a 9-10 win team, but can they be good enough defensively that can help them get to 11-12? I want to talk about their offensive line because I think their offensive line is really good, and I think their tackles are as good as anybody in the country. Talk a little bit about that group.
I think Will Campbell, the left tackle, is the best football player in the country, regardless of position. I think that of him. It has nothing to do with him being an LSU guy. It's just, watching the tape and seeing who he is. He's a 5-star guy at high school, started day 1 at left tackle at LSU. I mean, Kel, that's just, you don't do that.
No, you don't do that.
You don't do that, but he did. And he's gotten better every single year. He's got a great confidence about him, and it's the strength of this LSU football team. Emory Jones, as you mentioned, 2 tackles. He's probably a top 5 tackle in the country. You've got 2 guards that have started for 3+ years. Now you got a young player at center, DJ Chester, and when you have a young player at center, that can be tricky, right? You're declaring mics and you're calling out protections and different things, but if they get him where he's playing like a veteran player, that's going to be the strength of LSU's football team. If they go to a playoff, it's because the offensive line lived up to who we thought they were.
Yeah.
There's been some incredible quarterback play at LSU in the last 5 years with Joe Burrow, who had one of the best seasons
Shockingly enough, right?
And
we
then,
went through the graveyard of quarterbacks
and then
for
Daniels,
a long time.
Last year, all the explosive plays that he had, it's hard to imagine how many. So how can Garrett Nussmeier fill those shoes? We've seen a lot of those kind of quarterbacks come through OU, and the guys that come after them get unfairly critiqued by the fans. So,
it's a great question because how do you make up for his explosive passes? Let's only get to the runs yet. Just explosive passes. I mean, he was one of the best deep ball throwers in the country last year. I mean,
totally
so
agree.
many big plays. And so, like, that's a portion you got to make up. Does Garrett Nussmeier have the skill set to do it? Absolutely, he does. I love his story. He's the unicorn. He stayed. He didn't take his ball and go home. He didn't transfer because when he played, he's been really good. He could have gone somewhere else, and been the starter, but he wanted to stay at LSU. He can do it with his arm. Still, though, it's not just roll the ball out there. But the question they got to figure out is how do you replace the production on the ground as well and at receiver, right? You lost 2 dogs at receiver, first-round guys. You've got some candidates, but, again, just because you've had good receivers in the past doesn't mean, oh, you play for LSU, you're a receiver, you're going to be great. You have to replace that, and then you got to replace Jaden Daniels, what he did on the ground. I mean, you just don't go 85 yards on the ground against Florida in one play. Florida's too talented, typically too athletic to do that, but that's who Jaden was. How do you make up those yards? It's going to be running back by committee. I don't think you get it done there. For me, I think it's utilizing the tight end position. That's something you didn't have to do a year ago. It's a room in which you've got a lot of skill. Mason Taylor, he's here. Right? He was at SEC Media Days. You got a 5-star Trey Green. He's also going to play basketball at LSU, super athletic guy. I think you have to utilize that position group, the middle of the field, to try to make up for some of those rushing yards that you're just going to lose with Jaden Daniels.
Well, when Garrett played in the past, he always kind of played well. He stepped into some big moments and seemed like he was very consistent and didn't really shy away from the moment. So they had the tools, and I'm a huge fan of the offensive line. Again, it starts there.
Yes.
That's going to give them some opportunities to do some different things. Brian Kelly's going in his 3rd year. Obviously, when he took over, it was kind of a mess a little bit.
Minus the kind of.
Yeah. It was a mess. He's going in his 3rd year. He
Right.
mentioned earlier when he was here speaking that this is probably the most well-connected group that they have. What has he got to do to get over the hump? I mean, again, like I said, he's LSU's. You look up and they're going to win 10 games, but how can he get to 11 and 12 and 13?
Yeah, that's the expectation. LSU's the place. Like, it's not going to be 11, 12 wins every year, but they expect to win 10 games every year. I mean, outside of Alabama, the last 25 years, they've got the 2nd most national championships, right? But how do you become consistent? Because, okay, 03, 07, you play for 1 in 11, you play for 1 and win 1 in 19, but how can we be in the conversation more often and not have these spikes where we have that, but then we go down a little bit, then we come back up, then we go down? That's the challenge for Brian Kelly, and that's what I think what he's talking about. Like, now that they've got their process, their verbiage, their culture, all those things, because you know this as well as anybody, no better than I do. It takes time. Those things take time, certainly in today's college football with the transfer portal. And so your number 3 is where you get graded the hardest, and they're going to be graded extremely high. LSU fans, a 12-team playoff, and you're not in it, they're going to be asking tough questions.
He said he liked your number 3 is pretty good. I was worried about. I always found Les Miles so interesting because I covered him when he was at Oklahoma State. I thought the culture at LSU was going to be tricky, and I thought I got the same vibes with Brian Kelly at the press conference. That culture is going to be tricky.
Yeah,
is it better?
He is not who I thought he was.
Okay.
I'm going to be completely honest. You saw him at Notre Dame, and I was like, I don't know how that's going to work out. He just doesn't look like a guy that's going to easily fit in here. But I was completely wrong. He has been incredibly welcoming to us as former players, like coming back in the building. And I was wondering because, not to besmirch South Bend, Indiana, nobody lives there. Nobody's from there. Nobody goes back there, moves there. They just don't. A lot of us are from Louisiana. We moved back to Baton Rouge. We're around the program. I was like, how's he going to handle that? He hadn't had to in a long time. He's been great. He's been fantastic with us in the community. Everyone loves him. I think he realizes the challenge and the expectations of a place like LSU because he was at a place that had, I think, the ultimate expectations and challenges in Notre Dame, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. You're going to have challenges and stuff that they expect from you at Notre Dame. So he's been, just a completely different person than I thought he was. And hey, you were fair about Les Miles as well. Look, I love Coach. I got 5 kids. My number 4 is named Memphis Miles Hester after Coach Miles. But Coach, he was on that fine line of fitting into that culture. He skated on that fine line.
Yes, he wasn't afraid to push the envelope on different things. Cale and I are coming to Baton Rouge.
Yeah,
so tell us what do we need to do? What do we do on Friday? What do we do on Saturday?
All right, so there's a couple of different places on Friday. You can go to Ruffino's. Okay. Ruffino's Italian. It's incredible. Okay. Supper Club. It's this place that it's going to sound funny. It's got like a Vegas steakhouse vibe. Ooh. There's no windows. You got a DJ in there. It's great music. That's a scene. I think y'all need to go check out Supper Club on Friday night. One of those 2 spots is going to be hopping. whoever's calling the game is going to be at one of those two spots,
we
right?
went shopping at North Park yesterday. Kale got some gear, so he's ready to go.
Okay.
I'm ready to roll.
So that's what you do. That's what you do on Friday and Saturday. Like I know you're going to probably have to do something like work-wise on Saturday, but you got to at
Not
least
that
try
much.
the tailgating. I mean, it doesn't matter where you walk. They're going to invite you in. You can have OU colors on. It's not going to matter. They're going to say jambalaya, pastelaya, gumbo, etouffee. Come get some, and just be careful about getting too hydrated before the
Will
game.
the LSU fans welcome the Sooner fans?
Without question.
Good.
Without
Awesome.
question. The only
That's great
fan base, Alabama some, but I think that's going to go away with Coach Saban. That dynamic was just, he was our coach, he's your coach.
That's tough.
The Florida Gators. LSU fans hate Florida.
They got the same kind of tiger bait, gator bait type cheers. So ease the fans' mind, because a lot of the fans from Oklahoma have experience with LSU fans after the game in the Superdome. That's not really a good representation of what you see at a home game, right?
No.
That's just New Orleans, and Oklahoma's got
Yeah.
its bandwagon fans too that the real fans aren't really proud of necessarily. So
that's
a
for sure.
different,
We
it's
all
a
do.
different environment, right?
They're completely different. Yeah, it is. Tiger Stadium can be very welcoming, I think. I think fans are excited for Oklahoma to join the league. I want Oklahoma LSU to be a thing. I think I told you that yesterday.
Yeah.
I want it to be something that gets played that last game of the regular season every year. I really do. We lose Texas A&M. That's fine. They go back to Texas. LSU doesn't have a rival. If I asked my granddad, he would say Tulane. If I asked my dad, he'd say Ole Miss. If you asked me, I'd say Florida. If you asked my son, he'd say Alabama. We don't have a true rival. I want a rival. I think Oklahoma can be that rival for LSU. 03, 19, when you've played, it's meant something. Let's continue that path. I hope it becomes a thing.
Awesome. Jacob, thanks for your time, man.
Yeah,
Enjoyed visiting with
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, no question about it.
All right, that's Jacob Hester, great LSU, great former running back there.
I had never heard of pastelaya before. That was a first.
Kind of like pastelaya is just jambalaya with instead of rice. It's
with
got
noodles.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
It's good for me.
He knows.
I'm not mad at it.
He would know. I'm telling you, he would know.
Awesome.
That's a great interview there. Really good. He's
Really, really cool to get the LSU perspective. All right, we'll take a time out here. We'll revisit you guys down at Media Day, get more guests hopefully on with Mark and Cale down at the Omni in Dallas. Matt Rabe's here today in Kingfisher. Johnson's of Kingfisher. Forget the nonsense. Drive to Johnson's. Want to put in a plug for their service department as well. They're awesome here. If you just need an oil change, they do have an express lane for you. If you need something more than that, maintenance on your vehicle, they can also help you out. You can set up an appointment if you would like. Just give them a phone call, 405-375-5718. Johnson's of Kingfisher and johnsonsofkingfisher.com. More from SEC Media Days next.
fun deal coming up here. Don't miss a roast of the morning animals. It's all to benefit the Come Up Foundation and the work that they do for youth across the metro. The event's coming up quick, Thursday, August the 15th, 4 weeks from tomorrow at Will Rogers Theater. For ticket information, to reserve a table, or for sponsorship info, check out thesportsanimal.com, the Sports Animal app. You can also go to thecomeupkids.com. That's thecomeupkids.com.
Winners Wednesday. Driven by Seth Wadley Chevy of Perry, soon to be Oklahoma's #1 volume dealer. Get the Seth Wadley Chevy of Perry. I-35 exit 186. Click SethWadleyChevyofPerry.com.
You guys are up.
Welcome back on this Winners Wednesday. And, guys, I thought we could talk some more college football here, but I also want to get your leanings on the Open. We don't have to put down your picks in ink or anything, but I do want to hear where you're leaning. But I thought we would head in this direction. Since Alabama is up today, and we're going to hear from Kalen DeBoer, sort of marks the Kalen DeBoer era in earnest, even though I know he's done a lot of work already. This is his first time addressing the media at SEC Media Days. It's a guy who's got a lot of success, very, very few losses, and a lot of wins on his schedule. I think like 104-12 is his record. So Matt and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. What should the expectation, Cale, be for this Alabama team, knowing that, yeah, you do lose Nick Saban. They do still have Jalen Milroe. It is Alabama still. Kalen DeBoer has won everywhere he has been. It's a tough one to kind of pin down, but what should the expectation be for Alabama?
Well, they go play at Wisconsin. They have Georgia at home. They go to Tennessee. They have Missouri at home. They go to LSU. They go to OU, and they have Auburn at home.
Jeez.
I mean,
that is a gauntlet.
You're talking about a gauntlet now. I mean, that's 7 teams that, I mean, are, well-known college football teams that have a ton of success and won plenty of 10 and 11 win seasons. So, I think they're going to be a 10-win team. We are surrounded by the Alabama players right now, and I have to say they look a little different. They look just physically. The offensive lineman over there, Jalen Milroe, that's right here next to us. So they have a lot of talent. That is number one. We can't forget that. We can't forget that they have as good a talent as next to Georgia as probably anybody in the country, and they have enough depth. The question is, can the new coaching staff come in there and get it going in the right direction? Now, I mentioned that Jalen Milroe last year, he completed 65%. He threw for 2,800 yards, and that's not a bunch. That's not a bunch to us in Oklahoma with our quarterbacks. He had 23 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. He did not throw an interception in the last 3 games, probably some of the biggest games of the season, Michigan, Georgia, and Auburn. So I saw him with my own eyes get so much better as the season went along. And if he can continue to do that, and if they can play good football, I think they're going to be a 10-win team, maybe 11. I just don't see them after that. If for some reason they only win 8 or 9, the question is how are the Alabama fans going to react to that? I think that Nick Saban is going to continue to support and be a voice for them. If they struggle a little bit, I think he will help with the Alabama fans push through the rest of the season. Mark?
When I was in Vegas, when it was 120 degrees, it was hot in the shade, but when he stepped out into the sun, it kind of hits you in a different way. The Alabama contingent, it hits in a different way than anybody else we've had here so far. And not like Texas, but I think that Alabama football is pro football. There's no pro sports in the state of Alabama, and this is a big deal. And there's more people here from Alabama than they are really covering anything else. If you're in Atlanta and you're covering Georgia, I think still they're on top of the college football world right now, but there's a whole lot of other things that sponge up sports coverage in Atlanta. You've got all kinds of major professional sports there, including the Braves, which have been really good for a long time. But Alabama is covered in a different way.
Matt, we have seen a lot of bling, as they call it here. I imagine when the Alabama boys are here, there's much more bling. I mean, there's much more bling and ice everywhere. It is very, very impressive. Very impressive.
Truly a pro feel. Hey,
Yeah.
if we do get a Bama player on, one thing that I want to ask them is, how do you feel about your old coach, Nick Saban, not picking you to make the SEC title game? He picked Georgia in Texas to make the title game. I thought that was interesting. I believe him if he's picking against Bama, but that's still kind of eyebrow raising.
It'd be interesting to see what they say with that. They're kids, so they're probably well past that, But it might have stung a little bit. It might have stung, but it is impressive. Like Mark said, I mean, when they walked in here, they're directly in front of us. Two of the three on offensive line, we got Jalen Milroe right here next to us. It looks completely different what's going on here.
Very good. We've also got Texas up today. We talked plenty about them. Saban, as we mentioned earlier, likes them a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what the Texas players say as well. We still got a couple minutes. I want to ask you guys about the Open. Any leanings in the Open? We ran down our picks earlier. I had Rory. It's probably going to be a mistake on my part, but I ended up picking him to win this tournament.
It's always difficult to pick the winner of a golf tournament. I will be off of Scotty Scheffler. I think that it's just been very difficult for him in the past. If I've got to go with American up there near the top, I would feel more comfortable with Schauffele. But I'm going to go with Rasmus Højgaard.
Whoa.
No.
Okay.
That's just a great name.
It's not quite the guy that you were bringing up the other day from Thailand, the golfer from Thailand. I don't even remember what his name was, but that was out of left field. Should be fun at Royal Tree.
I think Scotty Scheffler's. I mean, you can't not put him at the top, in my opinion. I mean, he's been the greatest golfer in the world here consistently in the last year or so. So, my question is when is Ludwig Oberg going to kind of break the seal, and when is he going to finish it? He's been there. He's gotten right at the very end, and then he has, he gets to a Sunday and he just doesn't play as well.
I think about him and I think about Victor Hovland, like those two guys. It's like, I think that's going to happen at some point. And Hovland, obviously, more seasoned than a guy like Oberg. But yeah, I think definitely that's a good point, Kale.
It's a good week to be on him after he was great last week for 3 days. He just fell apart in the final day. I think he could play golf anywhere.
Who did you have picked, Matt?
So we go three and then a dark horse. I went Rory, Scotty, and then I went Tommy Fleetwood as just kind of a it was more of an instinct thing, and I love the flowing locks. And I had Sepp Straka as my dark horse.
Sepp Straka. What a great name. Sepp Straka.
Great ball striker. So
good on approach. So yeah, the driving accuracy and the approach be at a premium.
Not a bad spot. What about Robert McIntyre, who played really well last week? If you're looking for a guy that's odds have crashed, it's him.
No doubt. Drained the 22-footer. Now I wonder how he celebrated that win, but yeah. He might still be hungover after drinking whiskey out of the trophy.
What about John Rahm? Does John Rahm make an appearance?
And he has not been playing well, has he?
I know he hasn't.
I like John Rahm this week.
He has not been playing.
Well, he had the weird foot thing, the U.S. Open, where he had to withdraw. That was kind of strange.
This is no great manifestation to anybody. That guy's good enough to win this week.
He is. He is. One more golf thing for you guys. How do you feel about Tiger? And I'm sure you guys, if you hadn't heard some of the comments from Colin Montgomery, I can read them to you. But Tiger still continuing to play. I mean, physically not quite there, but the mental approach, and I mean, he's still going to try to grind it out and going to continue to play. Apparently,
good for him. He's such a big show when he shows up. And he loves the golf. He loves the fans. He's getting, he's becoming more friendly and more outgoing and smiling a lot more. I mean, it's great for golf. Again, is he going to win a tournament? He's not going to win a tournament, but everybody wants to see him. If he can just get to Saturday, it'll feel like he won a tournament. And
no doubt,
wish him the very best. Wish him the best. I'm going to go with Scotty. I'm going to go with Ludwig, and I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay.
I like it. Mark, are you ready to make your official picks, or are you going to hold off a little bit?
No, I'm just going to throw a bunch of names out there and then claim one guy,
and then hope
does
one
really
of them.
well
Yeah.
in the first couple of days. Give me some time, and I'll give you.
Okay.
I'll give you my 3.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
I haven't done it in that way. I have entered some pools. I'm ready to roll. I've got some good advice from some counsel that I trust, and so I feel pretty good about this.
All right, very good. By the way, right now we've got some USA basketball going on right now too. They're playing Serbia. Serbia is actually up 34-31. Now this is an exhibition. There's still 9 minutes left in the second quarter. No Traber, no Poku either. Poku's not going to be an NBA player anymore. I don't know if you saw that, Mark.
Yeah, but he's on this team.
No, he is not on the Serbian national team. No, he is not. But I know that people like to follow the former Thunder players, and Poku just signed a deal with a team overseas, so he will no longer be an NBA player. Neither he nor Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley signed with a team in Israel, I think. So he'll be out of the league as well. We'll get back to some college football SEC Media Day action. Cale is in today for Mathis Home. Tell us about that, Cale.
Yeah, if you haven't been to Mathis Home lately, come see all the changes. This place is huge. It's got the largest furniture store in the state. You can also check out any of the Mathis Sleep locations, which are just everywhere in the state. They have all the top mattress brands like Tempur-Pedic and Purple with deals that you won't find anywhere else. Mathis Home is fast, free delivery on everything in the store. They also beat all the everyday low prices that you can find on like Amazon or Wayfair and any other online retailers, hand down. Shop and compare. You'll find they have the lowest prices on every single item every day. Come see us at Mathis Home.
All right, very good. And I'm here today, Matt Ravenson, Kingfisher. Johnson's a Kingfisher. Forget the nonsense. Drive to Johnson's. You will find out why you will get a dealer for life. I've witnessed them helping some people get into some vehicles today, both first-time drivers and some people who are looking for something a little bit nicer and more suited to what they need for work. So everything, all kinds of drivers, they've got a vehicle for you. Just call them up, Johnson's of Kingfisher. You can go to johnsonsofkingfisher.com. We will come back and talk a little bit more about college football, SEC Media Days. I want to ask the guys some questions about the University of Texas. I also have Jeff Levy along, a former OU assistant, as the head coach of Mississippi State. We'll talk some more college football when we get back. Mark and Cale, Matt and Matt on 98.1 FM, WWLS, the Sports Animal.
Complete coverage of Media Days from the Omni in Dallas, SEC Media Days, going on through tomorrow. Mark Rodgers and Cale Gundy there, bringing you the latest from the players and coaches and other newsmakers down in Dallas. You can get much more information at thesportsanimal.com and the Sports Animal app. Guys,
Here on the drive. Big thanks to Johnson's at Kingfisher for having us out today. Jeff and John doing an excellent job, making sure people get set for the road, first-time drivers or work vehicles, whatever you need. They got you. Great selection here. Johnson's of Kingfisher. Forget the nonsense drive to Johnson's. Kale, what about Mathis Home?
Yeah, Mathis Home has the locations in Oklahoma City, Middle City, and Tulsa. If you come in here, look for the price drop alerts. They have them all over the store, so they'll have the special tags that'll say price drop alert on them, and that gives you a chance to save even more. They change these sometimes every day, sometimes every three to 5 days, sometimes once a week, but you'll save tremendously if you can find those. They're also the home of your recliner headquarters. They sell over 50,000 recliners a year because they have the best brands like Ashley and Lazy Boy. So come in here, test drive over 100 recliners that's in the store, and I bet you'll find a new one that'll be your new best seat in the house. So here at Mathis Home, 3434 West Reno.
Awesome. Hey, before we get into some Texas and Mississippi State talk, I heard you guys interview with Jackson Arnold, ran some of it back this morning. You guys did a great job interviewing him, and I'm just impressed with Jackson Arnold. Like, you can forget that this is a 19-year-old speaking, Mark and Cale. I
agree. Mark and I talked about that. Thought he handled himself very well, and to be honest, not to take anything away from Jackson, that's been everything we've gotten for everybody, all these players. I mean, again, when you're only sending three, you're sending three of your best, and but they answer the questions exactly way they should answer them to the media, and you could tell that on the flight down that they have been prompted very well by the SIDs, and but Jackson seems sharp, seems cool, seems relaxed. I try to throw him. I try to see what he would, are you going to try to go out and win games this year, or you just don't want to screw things up and let your team play really well, But knowing him, and that's what he said. First thing he says, hell no, I'm going to go try to win games, So, but that's
yep.
Jackson, and but then he kind of pulled it back a little bit and said, hey, I've got people around me. I need to play smart, but he's been coached well, and I think the guy's going to have a really good season. I think it's all comes down to that offensive line, and I think they'll do a good job. Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley, and coming up with an offense that reminds ourselves every day that, hey, we've got a first-year quarterback playing in the SEC. Mark,
what is their offensive identity, guys?
Less
and
sweeps,
this new crew.
more inside run game.
I am so down with that. I am so down with that.
Running the football had nothing to do with jet sweeps when he was at Muskogee. His dad did not call jet sweeps. They called the 21 dive or whatever. I mean, it's
their identity. Again, I can't tell you. I can tell you that the strength of their team, in my opinion, is their skill position, and that's their wide receivers. And I think they have a bunch of them. I think if some guys go down, I think there's going to be some guys that are going to be able to step up and get in there and play well. I think they're going to try to protect the quarterback a little bit, try to get the ball out of his hand some as quickly as possible. Also, which will give a chance to help the offensive line continue to grow as the season goes along. They feel like that, they had a good transfer tight end that came in from Southeast Louisiana, I believe, if that's correct, who had a really good spring. DeMarco Murray has running backs, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who they are and moving forward. So we might be having a guest here.
Yeah,
awesome.
Go grab it.
I think if he'll come,
just go grab it.
If he'll come over here, I hit him up on a text. It looks like he's I don't know if he's looking or not.
Well, there is
Zach.
Come on over.
I think he's getting tied up. Hold on.
Get some candy. All right. Well, maybe we'll have somebody. Maybe we won't. I will put in a plug for our podcast page while we while we get that along, check out everything on the podcast page, thesportsanimal.com. You can also just search Sports Animal wherever you get your podcast. That Jackson Arnold interview, all of these interviews will end up on that page. So if you didn't hear anything live, you can definitely catch up a little bit later. So that's a little bit what's going on there. So we think we're going to get this guest mark or no?
It's pending. If he
For
says
now,
fine,
pending?
I'll see. Yeah, let's see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, he's good. We're coming over here right now.
Fantastic. So also want to put it WWLSC Sports Animal on YouTube. If you want to catch this stuff live, you can see Mark and Cale and this in our guests live on air. They will be available to stream to you on YouTube, WWLSC Sports Animal.
Zach Selman, athletic director at Mississippi State, is joining us right now. How you been, man?
Great.
It's
man.
been
good to see you guys.
It's been a while since. Have you found a golf course as good as Belmar down there?
You know, I love Belmar. We've got a couple great courses. Both of our golf programs are really good.
Yeah.
Actually, Coach Hibble, right as he heard we were leaving for Mississippi State, said, "You're not going to believe how good these courses are in Old Waverly and Mossy Oak that are incredible." And so that gives us opportunity to be really successful and competitive in golf.
So talk a little bit about the excitement around Mississippi State right now, and with Coach Levy, and you know me, I've said it publicly a lot. I mean, I think Jeff is one of the best coaches that I've ever been around, and I think he's going to have a great future. But seems to be a lot of buzz with Mississippi State and what you guys are doing with all the athletic programs in football as well.
Yeah, you really kind of take a model of what Oklahoma's built and so many other great institutions. If you want to be competitive in everything and have a fit. Coach Levy, and you know him, Cale, that he connects with so many different people.
Mm-hmm.
So he's done great from a staff perspective, a recruiting perspective. We got, the level of talent we have within our state is incredible. Last week, Jeffrey Simmons stopped by, and we've got a lot of in the offseason, a lot of our NFL guys come by. You're like, they don't make them like Jeffrey Simmons and Chris Jones that much, but you got consistent talent within the state of Mississippi. And Jeff's done a great job getting to know that. And then, because there's such a rivalry and a history of college sports in Starkville, everybody's involved, and it takes community. So from a campus perspective to a community's perspective, setting baseball attendance records and women's basketball selling out and men's basketball, it's just we got a lot of great support. And Jeff's done a phenomenal job coming in as a first-time head coach and taking all of it on. It's a lot.
Tell us a little bit about the culture of Mississippi State. I've been to a football game there. The Cowbells are kind of famous for that, but the fans are passionate. I mean, that's, I think, the one thing we're noticing here about the SEC. How would you compare the fans of the SEC and your school to the Big 12 and what you experienced while you're at OU?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a passion. It's a, some people would refer to it as a religion. And, whether it's from a tailgating perspective, it's not just, the day before, but it's weeks before. And it doesn't matter the weather, we'll have people there. The Cowbells are unbelievable. And that's one of the things I love about college sports is all the unique traditions. Everywhere you go, schools have some unique traditions. So Mississippi State is special because it's in a community that's so close to other schools. Just being over an hour from Tuscaloosa, an hour and a half or so from Oxford. So when you feel it when sports seasons are going on. I think there's a game this fall that we're at home, Alabama's at home, and Oxford's at home. And so you'll feel it within our little footprint of all the people that are coming in. And that just makes it special. Like having energy and buzz is really special. So we couldn't be more excited about the support we're getting from our campus. We have an amazing president who's been phenomenal for us in this process. It's just a fun time and a great place to raise a family too.
I was about to ask you how Rachel and the kids, are they doing well, settled in?
Yeah, and Cale, you know better than anybody, the moving families is so unnatural. Like we didn't tell our daughters until I think we knew we were going. And like, hey, girls, we're moving. They're like, where? We're in Starkville, Mississippi. They've never been there. So, you're always concerned about that. But after talking to our president on the phone many times prior to accepting the job, you knew it was a special place. And, talked to a lot of people that had lived there. Shane Beamer's wife, Emily, is from Starkville. And so that helped Rachel have a comfort zone. But once you get there, they've loved every minute of it. They're in a great school, playing volleyball and basketball. Shane texted me, our oldest texted me right as we landed. She was walking to Chick-fil-A and Starbucks in the Union to get breakfast. I'm like, well, if you're spending that much for breakfast, you're eating at home the rest of the day. But we're finishing up. We're building the house, so that'll be the last step. We'll be in there in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
How many
awesome.
questions you get about your dad and your uncles there?
A couple. The funniest thing, I haven't seen my dad in a while. I'm gonna try to see him next week. But I'm so excited for him this year with the Hall of Fame, and it's so many people that have advocated for him. He's so humble and grateful for that. But he's also a small kid, farm boy from Eastern Oklahoma. So it hasn't hit him that he's got to put a tux on. He's like, no, I don't have to put it. I'm like, yeah, Dad, you got to put a tux on and go. Well, he's really excited about everything.
It's well deserved. That's very cool.
Talking with Zach Selman, the athletic director of Mississippi State. Zach, I got to ask you, just mentioned a little bit of the OU DNA there. And you worked at OU, started as a grad assistant and went to deputy AD, working alongside Joe Castiglione. What's it like going from working with him to welcoming Joe C back into the conference?
Oh, it's been really good. We meet pretty regularly, the SEC AD group, at least once a month. So it seems like I get to see him quite a bit still. I think it's you learn so much, clearly working at Oklahoma and then working at North Carolina and learning from Bubba Cunningham as well. You take so many lessons, and then how do you make your own spin on things? Right. So I'm just forever grateful for the opportunities that we've gotten, and really loving this role. But I lean on Joe and so many other people all the time.
Zach, thanks for dropping by. We know you're a busy man, so it's good to see you.
Perfect.
Hopefully
Great to see you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do this at the lake next time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good to see you. That was the original SEC defensive line. That was Lucius and Dewey and Leroy. So, but yeah, Dewey Selman's going into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame this year.
That's awesome. Football DNA in that family. So I was happy for him to get that opportunity, and very cool. Glad that he came along. We'll be listening, guys, to the Middle of the Day show out at SEC Media Days. I'll continue to get more interviews. Big thanks to Johnson's of Kingfisher for having us out here today, and then Cale, who's in today for Mathis Home. I want to say thanks to Mathis Home for that. Also, thank you to Matt Meyer, producing back in studio, Louis Elder, producing on site, Pat Jones joining us during the 10 o'clock hour. And you, the listener, thank you very much. Keep it locked in here to the Sports Animal. Middle of the Day show's coverage from SEC Media Day continues next.
Injury Lawyer. Visit pepperwinds.com. That's pepperwinds.com. WWLS-FM, The Village, Oklahoma City, the sports and home of the OKC Thunder, a Cumulus station.
This hour sponsored by Travis Watkins Tax Resolution and Accounting Firm. Don't face the IRS alone. Call or text 405-451-3399.
This is the middle of the day show. Smack dab in the middle of the week. It's a Gunday Hump Day with Mark Rodgers and Cale Gundy. Live on 98.1 FM, WWLS, The Sports Animal, thesportsanimal.com, and the Sports Animal app. Now it's time for the Big Three, sponsored by Service Master by Eagle Eye. Carpet and air duct cleaning, water and fire restoration, and more. Call 405-216-8000 or visit smbyee.com.
Welcome back. It is the middle of the day show on a Gundy Hump here from the Omni in Dallas and SEC Media Days. Good. Jeff's got a nice suit on. Are we going to have a little more Mississippi State talk?
Yeah, he looks good.
Let's see this. Very good. Let's see if he can stop by. I think we're going to have it. Very, very good. So, Jeff Levy taking over at Mississippi State and just had a chance to talk with Zach Selman. So hopefully he can sit down here and join us for a minute. He's got a pretty busy schedule. So, Bag, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Good. Excellent.
How's the MTV house last night?
The MTV house, we got an update on it. I think Cale switched rooms because of Curtis's absence. He got out of the room that just looked like a cryogenic coffin fit in it, and so
we talked about that this morning. We were wondering if Cale switched rooms out of his.
I heard some things in the middle of the night that I'm not very comfortable with, but I can't confirm if it was a dream or reality.
I heard
Jeff Levy is joining us now, the head coach at Mississippi State. Suit looks good. We like it. Yeah, it's excellent. Tell us about what's been going on at Starkville. You took over, hit the ground running, and had to do some recruiting and all that. So how do you feel about the team?
I feel good. I think you look at it, we're 7 months into this thing and just trying to create foundation to give us a chance to go sustain, and that's to me what year one's all about. You look at us on both sides of the ball, we had to do a great job of attacking the top of the roster with the way things ended up and from an attrition standpoint. And we were able to address some needs. I feel really good. Obviously, I've talked about it all day, but our quarterback position with Blake being our guy, that was huge for us. We've seen him live and in person. It's a guy that's got a ton of experience and love the fact that he's with us to go get us off the ground.
I want to check in. I know Staley and Cora are doing well. Has Kane stopped ringing the bell yet?
He has not stopped ringing the bell.
Wow.
I mean, Commissioner actually talked about Kane as he's introducing me.
Yeah.
I said he'll be terrorizing Starkville for a long time.
Albert Reese is the biggest human I've seen at SEC Media Days so far.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about him and what you expect from him this season.
Yeah, this is a guy that, man, I wanted to reward him and have him here because he's everything you want in a young person as we try to go compete and do what we do. He's got this incredible story. He's from Alberta. He goes and plays at a tiny little private school in Tampa as last year, gets recruited, comes to Mississippi State, and through all the change, he's been a constant and played in all 12 games last year. He'll start for us this year, earned a starting job through spring ball, and has done a really nice job and is about all the right things, has fun in the doing, works his butt off, got great toughness, and love where he's at.
Cale, have you seen his shoes? He's got his own likeness on his shoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, you need to
those are
check
nice.
those out.
By the way, your boy Lane was wearing some of the Delta
Blue Deltas.
Blue Deltas.
I love it.
When he was
love
here.
it.
Hey, talk a little bit about some of your skill players. I've kind of talked to some of your people down there about your, I think you're going to have a good tight end.
Yeah.
A couple receivers
Yeah.
that have kind of showed up that maybe some people don't know about.
Yeah, Kevin Coleman and Kelly are guys that played at a really high level the last couple of years at other places, come to us, and now ready to go prove it on the biggest stage, and fired up about those two guys. Seydu is a tight end that got a chance to do a lot of things for us. He's a guy that didn't play at all last year, was actually ineligible, and was at Arkansas State 2 years ago, but a talented dude that can do a lot. And so those are the three guys that are probably a little bit older that we're going to lean on early as we get some of these young guys going. But I do like the depth of that room and where we're at.
Tell us about assembling your staff and some of the guys that you found as a first-year head coach.
Yeah, you look at it offensively. I wanted system knowledge and guys that there was great alignment and trust from the standpoint of if I'm away doing something, the job's going to get done the exact way that I would want it to get done. That happened. Anthony Tucker, John Cooper, Cody Kennedy, Matt Holacek, 4 of the 5 guys are all guys that have lived inside the system and got great familiarity with. And then Chad Bumpus, a guy that had a great career at Mississippi State and is our receiver coach and kept him home. On the defensive side of the ball, for me, it was about guys that understood exactly what our league looks like and had coached in it, had lived it, had been in it, and that is Coleman. And he's a guy that's seen it at a bunch of different places. He's got great toughness and edge and personality to be able to have great command on that side of the ball. And that was huge for us. He's seen it done at a really high level for a really long time and is just a great guy. And then Matt Barnes, supplementing him with Matt. Matt was a defensive coordinator at Memphis. And this is a guy that's had great play calling experience to be able to supplement with Coleman and help him there. And then obviously our defensive line coach, a guy that's done it in the SEC forever. Coach Turner, he's had an unbelievable amount of success. You think about all our NFL guys that whether it's Fletcher, Jeffrey Simmons, Chris Jones, he coached all of them. And so got great guys on that side of the ball.
That's good. He's going to have a busy day.
I got one more question.
I
was just asking. Zach said that the golf courses there were comparable to the ones in Norman. Is that right?
So there are 2 courses that are about 20 minutes from the house, Old Waverly and Mossy.
Okay.
That are special. They're really, really good.
We'll let you go.
That's good.
Good
to see you.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Yeah,
Appreciate it, brother. Love you, man.
Love you, man. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Jeff Levy, who is the head coach at Mississippi State, doing a good job there with the Bulldogs. All right, you and I are going to take the 16 SEC teams, and we've seen 12 of them here so far today, and we'll see 4 more tomorrow. But we've talked a lot about different things in the conference, but we're going to put it on film. 2 teams for the over season win total projections, 2 teams for the under season win projections. And so it lives on. I mean, and we have to go back and reference that. And it's not just kind of speculation here and there. So I've got my 4 identified, the 2 over and the 2 under. One of the teams that I thought I was going to have it for sure over on, I couldn't pull the trigger. I couldn't.
Oh, wow.
So there's some teams that talking to them or hearing things and doing a little bit more research since we've been down here, since we've had a lot of time at the Spring Break House together to do things.
The Beach Club.
The Beach House. I've changed my mind on a few things from last week. Yeah, what are you doing, man? We couldn't hear you. You're like your mic sounded like you were yelling at him from a canyon.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Trying to take care of it, trying to get better.
We had a good meal last night. I got a recommendation from my buddy Caesar Soto. I wasn't really aware of this restaurant, but Mesa Maya.
Yes,
they had really good salsa
off of McKinney, right?
Yeah. So we had some Mexican last night. We had original kind of American hamburger cuisine on Monday. I think tonight, Cisco and I are going to get some of the Texas Monthly Barbecue.
That'd be good.
I think so. No,
you can't come to Dallas and not get barbecue.
Some of the barbecue places, like one of the best, one of the ones I wanted to try is the Cadillac, and it is only open for lunch, and it's way up near Farmers Branch. So I don't think we're going to be able to make it on that trip. But I'm good, ready to go. Yeah, those are shoes.
Those are the shoes. I like it.
We need it. We'll tweet. Try to get Cisco get a picture of those, and we'll tweet them out. I don't know if everybody has those.
Quinn Ewers, there he is. There's your guy. To your right.
You're right.
You're going to go. Your other right.
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to go on the over.
He looks sharp.
You're telling me you're going to pick the over at that?
No, I'm not picking the over for Texas. It's not
under.
It's not part of my group.
Look, do you see him?
Yeah, got the cowboy boots on with the suit.
He's got high waters with boots on. He's got a suit on, high waters with boots.
It looks like you have to have some of that South Lake money to buy that kind of gear.
Yeah, no, you can't find that in Midwest City.
No. Well.
Or Blackwell.
No, that's not a suit you find in Blackwell. All right, Cisco could not get the picture there. All right, Bag is in studio today. And so yesterday, you and I had a chance to talk to Danny Stutzman a little bit after we were off of the air. And I think Jim was busy doing something, so we couldn't get him on live. but I thought that people would like to hear that. So here is our discussion yesterday with Danny Stutzman, the leader of the OU defense. Cale and I were having a conversation today. We're like, what's Stutzman going to wear? So
Y'all are parted down.
in the Louis shoes, we're going to give those incredibly high marks.
Thank you. And then you look at the suit.
I love
I
it.
got my dog in there. Got the design in there.
What kind of dog, and what's the dog's name?
She's a mini Australian Shepherd,
Nice.
and her name is Roxy. I got her right after the spring game. My parents told me don't get a dog, and so I wanted to get a turtle. Couldn't find a turtle, so I got a dog, and it's been a great decision.
Cale's brother's got a turtle for you. He's only like 100 pounds, though.
He's got giant turtles about this big up on the ranch. So if you want one of those, we can get them to you. So I got a question for you. So are you a better basketball player, a dancer, or a golfer?
Basketball player.
For sure?
For sure.
What are you worst at?
Team.
What are you worst at?
Probably dancing.
Probably dancing? Okay. All right.
I'm pretty bad at golf, though.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty dang good at basketball.
Okay. All right. You like to bang in there? Do you play outside?
Oh, I'm getting in the paint. Come on, we're physical. You know how it goes.
That's a good point. I heard you earlier today in the breakout session talking about the defensive line. Give us a scouting report of the new guys up there, and then Dominic Williams, who came in from TCU.
Yeah, so you look at the freshmen, you look at Jaden Jackson, David Stone, two guys that are very high recruits, and they check off all the boxes physically when you look at them. And then you get to see him spring. You see Jaden Jackson really off right away to start to dominate. Even when he was here he came for the bowl game, dominating right away. As soon as he got reps, very impressed with how he is. He's kind of a plug and play guy. You look at David; he has all the physical capabilities. Very talented in his moves. Very talented in his set, pass rush, and run stopping. And it's going to take him a little bit more time, I think, but he'll still be ready to go. It's just he's a little bit smaller than Jaden, but he's still a physical. He's going to be great at the three technique, and he's dominant. Both those guys are amazing. Then you look at Dom Williams coming in. That man is also just huge. Teddy called him earlier a boulder, and I think that's a great way to describe it because that man is a rock. And he came in right away, a veteran, so the system didn't take long for him to pick up. And now he's kind of stepped in that leadership role in that defensive line. Him and John Terry has done an amazing job getting those younger guys ready. It's hard to learn the defense, from that aspect. And having guys, especially a guy that just came in here, able to teach it is huge for the defense.
So tell me, what did you work on the hardest? If there's one or two, three things that you saw from last year, moving into this year, that I want to make sure I'm better for our football team in these areas. What are the things you worked on in your offseason, the spring, the summer?
I think primarily my block destruction. Getting off that block, having your first initial strike has to be very dominant. You have to be able to extend your arms, and then understanding play recognition, like in the pass concepts, and then having better zone coverage. Matching routes, being inside underneath, and to elevate the throws and make it difficult, so your safeties and corners can make plays on the ball.
How's your media career? Your podcasting? You're really good.
I'm very solid.
Did you learn anything from Cale?
Oh yeah, I had a great coach in that aspect. I think for the SEC, I don't know if it's going to continue much. I want to give, my senior year as much as I can. I don't want to have any regrets. Don't want to think something was taken away from my time. Not like it did, but I don't want anything up in the air.
So you grew up in Florida. So you kind of grew up in some SEC country down there. You guys get to go to Auburn, Ole Miss, LSU, and Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any of those places that you're excited to have the first chance to ever go in and play at that growing up as a kid, you're like, man, I love that stadium?
I think growing up, especially you look at LSU,
Yeah.
sure, it's been a very common answer because of how great and hostile that environment is. When you're a football player, you got to dream about moments like that. You got to dream about just the bright lights and fans that are booing your name, because that's the best part. Backs against the wall, and all you have is your teammates, and that's what you look forward to when you're entering an environment like that.
Speaking of LSU, Harold Perkins yesterday, I asked you if they heard Danny Stutzman, and there's a little tweet that went out.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah, who's that? No, but I'm playing there. Obviously, you look in the full quote. He's very focused on himself, and as a fellow linebacker, you got to respect that, man. That's a dude that wants to be 100% committed towards his game, getting better every single day. And he plays one of the most difficult positions on the defense, and so he has a hard job to do. And he has to lead his team just like I have to lead mine. And I respect a guy that can do that. I'm really excited to see him perform this season.
You guys are going to get to see each other late this season. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
Just like
so
you said.
Do you have any individual goals, Danny, this year that you could share to everybody, the Sooner fans, or you keep those to yourself?
One thing that's really big on my mind, I want to be on the top 10 all-time tackles. I think that's something, obviously I want to be the fifth Butkus winner, but when I want to put myself in the Sooner record book.
Nice.
Linebacker's been a really, really good position at OU. Like most all of those positions. So have you played college football 25 yet?
I have. I made another character, Danny Stutzman, too. I realize it's not as fun when you've already done it before. Then so myself texted Danny Stetson too and was like, can you wake me up for this fall camp practice? And I saw a chance of sabotage, change his alarms. So I did not make practice. So Danny Stetson 2 got some more reps. And I look at the first game, and myself did not play in the game. I had literally Coach V benched me, and then we lost to Temple. I was like, oh my gosh, that was Danny Stetson 2's fault. Like, this is unacceptable. And I felt really bad.
I like it. So
that's it. I'll tell you, that speaks very highly for Danny Stutzman, because Oklahoma's a 42-point favorite. If Danny Stutzman misses that game and that's a 42-point difference, then I think the Butkus Award is coming your way, maybe even the Heisman.
So, Danny, you can't play defense anymore. You got to play offense. What position would you play?
Tight end. I think my hands are really solid. You look at my tape before. You would have loved me in the receiver room.
Yeah.
But I think that's the best place for me. It runs in the blood a little bit. That's what my dad played. But tight end, yeah, I think that's a
flex guy, or do you want to put your hand down?
I think I want my hand down. Obviously I can do a little bit of both, but I think I like dirty work. Kind of like a Dallas Clark type of player. No glove, just straight catching the rock.
Nice. Iowa tight ends have been really good, so that's a good way to pattern yourself. All right, they're nervous, man. We really appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for all the personality that you've added to the program.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Danny.
Yes, sir.
Love you, brother.
WWLS. Sports Animal Studios, powered by the OKC Thunder. Quarter, half, and full season ticket memberships are on sale now for the upcoming 24-25 Thunder season. Become a ticket member today for access to the playoffs at OKCThunder.com/member.
Downtown. Quinn Ewers is setting down the SEC set, or has just gotten up. Texas players are not a fan of his attire. I thought it looked okay.
Well, I just didn't. Yeah, I mean, he had the real serious high waters, which people wear their pants higher, but I mean, they were probably as high as I've seen anybody's. But he had boots on.
Sure.
So just
maybe those boots are an NIL deal.
Threw me off. Now that look right there looks really good.
Yes, right here.
Yeah,
WFA.
yeah. Things are picking up. Texas is in the house. It was kind of like when Alabama. Now Texas is starting to show up, and there's lots of action, a lot of buzz going on around here.
Yesterday, I had a nice piece of what they called Texas sheet cake. It was really good. It had a little bit of the dual chocolate flavoring, and Cisco left the camera on so everybody could see me getting fatter. And today I'm having a salad, so he turned the camera off while I am eating the salad. Now, this is my kind of salad. It's a wedge with some bacon crumbles sprinkled on it and some kind of ranch. It was pretty good. All right. Bag, we're getting some texts here. I like to read this here from the 405-596 prefix. It says,
Mark's got a hater.
Mark talks bleep on OU, yet he's there at SEC Media Days talking to the players. Interesting. And then again, a little bit later, Mark will talk bleep about OU, yet he'll be there for game days. Go to Stillwater, Mark. I will go to Stillwater. I like to go to Stillwater. There's nothing wrong with that.
But you're not talking bleep crap on him.
Depends on how far he's got his nose up OU's ass. I mean, it might be more than me. Wow. So I think that's a little different.
He might be smelling a little bit more of it than you.
I think he is. I'm not necessarily that down on OU.
No,
not at all. I'm not picking them to go to the conference championship game. Maybe, this guy has been texting us quite a bit yesterday. So he didn't. He's the person that should be threatened by these texts is our boss, Cisco, the program director, because he's trying to tell us which content that we have is good and not good. So I think that anyway, boy, here go back to July 10th. This is just not a happy person. You see this? You read that one on July 10th at 12:36.
This is OU, Mark. You're putting
no. That went below this.
Kale is such an idiot. Hell, that's obvious. I mean, tell us something new.
I don't know, man. We might need to get this guy on the show. He's coming with a lot of an attitude and energy against us. So
you know what? I bet I love the guy.
You think so?
He can call me an idiot. I'm still going to love him.
Would you share a room with him at the beach house?
No, no, he's not. He's not in the crowd. He's not in the in crowd.
Yeah, no. That's. I think sometimes people that take shots on here, they don't realize. Oh wait. Anyway,
hold on. Let me see if I know that number.
Yeah, let me put it in the phone. It's not in there. So Texas has also created quite a stir. I mean, this is definitely a premier time for the media with Alabama and Texas here at the same time.
Yep, two of the top teams that have been talked about probably most about the SEC is Alabama and the change with Nick Saban and Texas coming in the Southeastern Conference. Has for some reason created more buzz, positive buzz, opportunities to win more and be more successful early than Oklahoma. So I don't really understand it, but it is what it is.
All right, do you feel comfortable that you have your overs and unders ready? You didn't look at it very long.
Oh,
yes. You were eating and everything else.
Oh, so. No, I'm locked in. Look at the shoes.
Where? Yes. Keating today has.
What in the.
I'm not sure what. I'm not sure what those are. I'm not sure what they are. But
did the suit guy?
No.
The Hong Kong guy give that to him?
It can't be. How do you think? What are the challenges for Jeff Lebby in year one at Mississippi State? They had some success under Mike Leach. It didn't work out with his successor. They made that move pretty quickly to change there. tough in state right now because Ole Miss is kind of rolling as much as they ever have been, and they've got a lot of money to spend and have done a pretty good job in recruiting.
Well, those players have been playing in the SEC, so it's not like they're completely playing in a whole different conference and a new style of football. So they are used to it. Jeff Levy has coached in the Southeastern Conference, so he's used to it. Most of his staff is probably coached in the Southeastern Conference. So, to me, it's. I don't think there's such a huge transition or things that they're trying to figure out or how to kind of find their way in the Southeastern Conference. I really, really don't. I think it's just Jeff's got to continue to recruit. He's got to put up, obviously the strength of their team's most likely going to be the offense, probably going to score some points. I think he's going to get a couple. I bet he upsets 2 teams this year that will be a shock to people, or maybe that they are underdogs heading into those games. And if he can get to where, if he can win 6 games this year, there'll be some buzz. And if he can somehow win 7 the next year, there's no telling what's going to happen.
Right. Being able to go to a bowl game, I think, is
huge.
Would be a big differentiator in year one. I think we're getting ready to get some Texas players to come over here. I don't know if they'd like to go back to Oklahoma City and talk. So then tomorrow we will have the final 4 teams here. It will be Auburn, Texas A&M, Kentucky, Arkansas. So
Sue Pig.
That's the hottest seed in the league. I think that they've got a difficult schedule. Equally hot, Billy Napier at Florida.
Yeah,
he was here this afternoon.
He's been on the hot seat since day one. What's that over under? 5-ish?
4.5. They got a really tough non-conference schedule. Why didn't that work? I think people like Billy Napier, have a lot of respect for him. If Florida didn't hire him, he's going to get hired by some other Power 5 school at the time, coming out of the University of Louisiana. He's a good coach.
I don't know. He's a really good coach. You're in a hotbed of football talent all over surrounding you. You play in a great stadium, a great fan base down in the swamp. I don't know.
There have been some other misses at Florida.
Oh, yeah. There's been some. That's right. It's kind of, if you take Steve Spurrier out there, well, but Urban did some good things there. But there has been some misses. You would think that place shouldn't have the inconsistency that they've had.
There is a lot. Well, I think sometimes if one thing goes up, something else must come down. And right now, their biggest rival at Florida is on top of the world in college football. So it's pretty hard. When you're not winning that rivalry game every season, I think everybody's a little bit upset, right? It's that way at OU. You've been on both sides of those things. When you were a player, Texas was having success in the Red River rivalry. When you were a coach, Oklahoma was having most of the success during that stretch.
Yeah, but they weren't. Even when Texas had a little bit of success, it's not like we were winning 6 games. If they had success and somehow won 12 or won the championship, we were at 11 or 10. So wasn't that much of a difference.
The best part of the negative text is getting the positive text afterwards. So building this up. From the 918, screw that guy. I wish I could hear you and Cale every day. For the right amount of money, we'll come do the show at your house. There's just simple math to that. We have to get to the right number, but we could do it that way. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back on the other side, we'll get to these over-under win totals. We've got a lot more coverage coming up here from SEC Media Days at the Omni. Hope to have some more players coming up. I know that we're trying to catch up with Brett McMurphy as well, and much, much more. So we will be back with more here on the Middle of the Day Show. Stay tuned.
Don't miss a roast of the morning animals, all to benefit the Come Up Foundation and the work they do for youth across the metro. The event is Thursday, August 15th at the Will Rodgers Theater. For ticket info, to reserve a table, or for sponsorship info, check out thesportsanimal.com, the Sports Animal app, or click on the comeupkids.com.
Welcome back. It is the middle of the day show. Mark and Cale with you here at SEC Media Days inside the Omni Hotel. All right, I told you we're going to do this. 2 teams over, 2 teams under in the league. A little review of the SEC season. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to tell you right now that LSU is going under 9.5. There are questions on defense, and I think that I've seen this before with other big programs. They were bad on defense. Not bad for LSU, which I think the people at LSU were saying, yeah, it was a bad season for LSU on defense. They were bad for anyone on defense. They were at the bottom of the conference. The only team that they were ahead of in the league was Vanderbilt. That's it. I mean, so new defensive coordinator could help, but I've got a feeling that it wasn't all the defensive coordinator's issue there. So they are also losing the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback, and I think that it will be a little bit different type of style for LSU on the offensive end this year with Nussmeier compared to what it was with Daniels, who I think has got a chance to be really good for the Commanders. They have USC. That's not a gimme non-conference. Some other teams.
So
in the
is that
SEC.
a win or loss?
It could be a loss. Absolutely. That's in Vegas. It could be a loss. Probably a win. They're favored. They have Ole Miss at home. That's not necessarily the game that you can pencil in as a win. They've got to go to Arkansas and A&M back-to-back. I think they can lose the game at A&M. They've got Alabama at home, then they've got at Florida, and they've got Oklahoma. That's not a 9-win schedule to me. So I've got under 9.5 on LSU. I feel pretty good about that. My next under is Florida. This is also a little bit of a schedule issue. The Florida non-conference schedule has Miami, Florida State, and UCF. Those are 3 of the 4. They got a gimme game with Samford, but when you have 3 of those difficult non-conference games, I don't know. I don't know what's been wrong with Billy Napier. We talked about it in the last segment. I think that Florida should be a better program. It should be cookie cutter, and they should be contending year in and year out in the SEC. Their total is low. It's low for a reason. 4.5. I'm going under 4.5.
Whoa!
I don't think that the season's going to last. So the A&M game at home at Ole Miss, A&M at home at Mississippi State in September. The wheels could be off by that point, but it gets really difficult after that. You've got UCF, you've got at Tennessee, you've got Kentucky, you have Georgia, you have at Texas, you have LSU, you have Mississippi, and then you have at Florida State. That is one of the tougher stretches of schedule of 7 games that I've seen in the history of college football. Let me read it to you again. UCF at home, at Tennessee, Kentucky at home, Georgia. That game, of course, is in Jacksonville. At Texas, LSU, Mississippi, at Florida State. Florida's not going to win 4 games, or not going to win 5. All right, here's my 2 overs. Kentucky is over. Over 6.5 for Kentucky. If you look at what Mark Stoops has done there and go back, he's been in the conference 12 years. He's the longest tenured coach in the league.
Yeah.
He wins games every season, and I don't think people ever think of Kentucky as being a very good football program or one that competes in the league. And they haven't gotten to a championship game, and that's because they've had Florida and Georgia to contend with in the Eastern Division of the SEC. So they won 7 last year. They've got everybody back. They've got a highly touted quarterback that has a chance to be pretty good. That's been some of the problem with them, is that their defense hasn't lived up to the offensive side of the ball. And with 10 starters back on defense, they're fine. They got a first-round draft pick on that defense. Their non-conference schedule is not much of an issue. They play Southern Miss. They play Murray State. Those are games that count against the win total. They have Vanderbilt at home. They've got Louisville. They should beat them. And I am not going to give them automatic W against my man Tim Albin in Ohio, who they will be favored against when they go to Lexington to play them. So I got over Kentucky 6.5. And then the final one, this was pretty easy. I got Mississippi State over 3.5. I think that Levy will be an improvement over what they've had there. I think that seeing the size of some of the players that they have on that team is, to me, impressive. I know there's really low projection for them. I can see them finishing ahead of Arkansas. And by the way, they do play Arkansas at home. It's a game they can win. They've also got Eastern Kentucky and UMass on that schedule. And so you beat Eastern Kentucky and UMass, all they got to do is find 2 more wins the rest of the way. At Arizona State, Arizona State's picked lower. I mean, they're picked near or next to last in the Big 12. Mississippi State, no reason they can't win that game. They played Arizona to overtime last year and beat them. So they've got to win another one, and it's tough in there because you've got UMass. There's 3. All you got to do is win one conference game or beat Arizona State, and they're in. It's over 3.5. So to recap, my overs are Mississippi State 3.5, Kentucky 6.5. Those are the 2 overs. The unders, LSU 9.5, and Florida 4.5. I thought I was going to have A&M over, but their total is set at 8.5, which is really high. I mean, there's high expectations at A&M this year. I thought I might go over on Alabama, but it's 9.5, and their schedule is so hard. So I think Alabama can be really good this year and not get to 10 wins to get to the over. Texas at 10.5. Dude, the schedule, it's easy. It's easy. They've got Georgia at home. They have Michigan on the road. I don't think you can necessarily – Michigan has so many question marks. You talked about it today. They've got almost the least production coming back of any team in the Power 5, especially on offense. So with all of those new people breaking in as well as a new coach, then I think it's going to be tough on Michigan early in the year. So Texas could win that game. If they do and they lose to Georgia, they got to lose another one someplace. Maybe they can. I'm sure I'm going to set you up to say you're taking Texas under 10.5 as one of your two.
It's not.
It's not. You're not taking Texas under.
Nope. I did not. My unders, first one is South Carolina. It's at 5.5.
You're going under?
I'm going under. I'm sitting here looking at their schedule. They play Old Dominion. That's going to be a win. They play Kentucky, loss. LSU, loss. Akron, win. Ole Miss, loss. Alabama, loss. Oklahoma, loss. Texas A&M, loss. Vanderbilt, win. Missouri, loss. Wofford, win. And then they play Clemson. I got to win in 4 games. And even if they find another way to knock another one off, they win 5 games. And they're breaking in a new quarterback.
I think that's a pretty good choice. New quarterback. These teams that have like Florida and South Carolina, it's pretty difficult that they have to have those, little extra. Okay, who else? What else you
got? Texas A&M. I know that goes against you, but I believe
not necessarily.
What's up, Cole? How you doing, man? Good seeing you, brother. We got a guest.
Okay, well, Cole will fit right into this conversation. He can help us. So I gave Cale a challenge, Cole. We had to come up with 2 teams for the over the win total in the regular season, 2 teams for under the win total in the regular season. Cale
Florida over first.
Oh, I disagree with you. I'm on the under Florida.
That's fine. What is it, 4.5?
It's 4.5.
Yeah.
It's the Florida Gators. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. Sure. So hold on. I was going to read you.
Not Florida A&M.
This stretch
not
of
South
schedule
Florida
is maybe the toughest I've ever seen in college football history. They've got 6 games or 7 at the end of the season that are all together.
It's a nasty schedule. I will not deny that. I do think we're having a little bit of logo-itis.
Okay.
A little bit of helmet envy with this schedule. You guys know what Miami went last year?
They weren't very good, but they got a chance to be. They got a chance to be
Central
a little bit
Florida
better
last year.
We saw them
6-7.
They were good at times.
Yeah,
I mean,
they whipped up on my brother at one time.
Yeah,
but those teams are at the beginning of the season.
Does Texas A&M have a new head coach?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I was just checking. I want to make sure. Sorry.
Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Mississippi, Florida State.
Kentucky have a new offensive coordinator, new quarterback?
Kentucky's one of the teams that I like going over.
It's just a question.
He said over.
Brock Vandagriff could end up being pretty good for them. I know that has to be potential.
5 wins, though. 5. Not 10, 5.
5.
And if you put Graham Mertz's numbers on 80 quarterbacks in college football, 80 teams in college football, we're having a conversation about are they going to get to 10 wins this year?
Exactly. Because he played good. He had 20 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
I've seen him.
And you know how many
like
quarterbacks?
73%.
Yeah, how many quarterbacks had a better completion percentage than him last year? 2.
Yep.
And he's a quarterback for sure.
73 or 75.
Yes, he's a quarterback for sure.
Okay.
I think Lagway might get some time, and he might have a couple run packages, and they'll kind of keep him happy, let him do some things. But Montrell Johnson's an animal at tailback. I think the O-line is going to be a little better. They got a kid, Trayvon Baugh, at running back, 6'2", 235, and can move laterally. He's got some agility. I think Banks up front on defense, Cam Jackson up front on defense are going to be pretty good. I think what they have that a lot of teams in the league don't have this year is a middle of their defensive line that actually has some decent depth that's played. There's just not a lot of – if you're talking about Oklahoma and Texas coming into the league, from an offensive line perspective, this might be the best time in the last 10, 15 years because the D-lines are nowhere near what it used to be. Coach, it used to be 2, 3, 4 guys on every single team. You go back, think about like Sweat and Simmons at Mississippi State, Marlon Davidson, Derek Brown at Auburn, Bama having 4 or 5 guys, Georgia 4 guys. Javon Kinlaw at South Carolina, he's the reason they beat Georgia in 2019. There's just not a ton of guys on a ton of teams like that can just take over a game. the Quinnen Williams, the Jonathan Allens. We don't have a ton of those this year. Now, we got some edge guys that are pretty good, and there's some other players that have played a lot, but I think this is a good year for that, and Florida's got some interior D linemen that are pretty good. And I think Billy's a good coach.
We were talking about him being a good coach, that it just hasn't gone his way so far at Florida. A lot of other people would have loved to have him when he went to take that job. Is bowl game the difference between staying or leaving there, you think?
See, I hate putting a number on it. I think, yeah, if you make the postseason this year, that can probably help solve a lot of problems, answer a lot of questions. I think it probably needs to be a little closer to 8, but we don't think that's going to happen per se. I'm all about appearance. Does it look like you've improved? Is the organization better? Are the stupid mistakes cleaned up a little bit more? Are your guys playing hard? Is the recruiting still going well? That, to me, always going to be a little bit more important than 7 or 8. Because what if they get to 7, but they beat Georgia?
Right.
You running them?
I agree with you. I mean,
no.
You can't just put a number on it, but that gives him a chance, at least, to get to a bowl game.
Can we ask Coach who the best defensive tackle out of Birmingham he ever recruited was?
Yes,
Oh,
of course
my
we can.
gosh. It's been a while. It's been a
Long
long
time.
time. Been a
Long
long
time.
time.
So why did you go to Oklahoma?
Oh, he was
Or you were
recruiting me to UAB.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a good
The
reason.
Blazers.
Yeah,
You know, but you know what? I'll flip that
You went down
around.
south.
I'll flip that around. UAB was realistically in the mix because of him and Coach Donahoe. Absolutely.
Pat Donahoe. Thank you,
You
Cole.
talking
Appreciate
about
that.
a wild man.
Appreciate
Holy
that.
mother.
He was a wild man. Hey, so I got a question. Are you buying in, and I'm struggling with this, with Texas football stepping in this conference and being a top 2 to 3 team in the league?
No. Tier 1 for me right now is Georgia.
Okay.
I think they're on a little bit of a platform by themselves. Tier 2, I think, is, and you could expand this a little bit, Coach, maybe I think Alabama and Texas are there. We could have a conversation about Ole Miss. We could have a conversation about Missouri. And then I think Tier 3 are all teams that could easily be Tier 2, maybe knocking on the door Tier 1. Those are going to be teams like Oklahoma, like Texas A&M, teams like a Tennessee and LSU is going to be there. All teams that have a lot of things going for them, but you have a little bit of concern too. Is there some reality to what you're going to get in the trenches week in, week out? I think even more so the venues week in, week out. Like, there's a lot of folks that don't understand how hard it is to win at Davis Wade Stadium or Kroger Field or Williams-Brice in Columbia, South Carolina. It's not just the Swamp and Tiger Stadium and Neyland Stadium. It's not. Every place other than Vanderbilt is a really tough place to go win. So does that take a little bit of a toll? I mean, but let's be real. Like, Venables is a great coach. Sark is a hell of a coach. And they've been recruiting for this. They've been looking forward to this. There's no part of it that I just don't think these teams can just not handle.
Right.
But it is going to be a little bit more difficult inherently than it has been.
We talked about it, and that's why probably OU is sitting at 7.5. You know, they went last year. They lost on the road to Kansas. You know, they went to OSU, and my brother beat them. So, you know, they've got to go to Ole Miss, who's right now a top 10 team. They got to go to Missouri, which is a potential top 10 team. They got to go to LSU. They got to go to Auburn, which is one of the toughest plays to win.
I hate when that game is for Oklahoma. I'm going to be honest with you, because first thing I'll say, well, number one, Willie Fritz is a damn good football coach. You know that. Houston is going to be tough. I don't know if y'all know how John Summerall coaches, but Tulane is going to welcome a fist fight. And they're going to expect to be punched in the face, and they're not going to mind it, and they're going to try to punch you back. I'm not saying Tulane's going to win that game,
right,
but you're not going to be on cruise control for 3 quarters and then put the walk-ons in. And then, I don't know where you guys stand on this. We haven't had the conversation. We've had a couple people with Oklahoma ties that have said this might be the biggest regular season game in school history. I did not just say that. I'm just telling you. But how about just the fact that people are even considering putting it in that classification, the Tennessee game?
Oh.
With Josh coming back, first SEC game at home, there are a lot of limbs that we can walk out onto to discuss that football game, and then you go to Auburn the next week. And you know what it's like. When there's an emotional game and it takes it all out of you, and you put that – the problem that people don't get, when so much emphasis goes on a game like that, it's so easy to exhale the next week. And it's not trap games. It's not when you exhale and don't have the same amount of laser focus, it impacts how you play. And that's going to be it. Because I'm going to tell y'all, Jordan Hare is no joke.
I know.
It is no joke.
You guys, one of those things that you did well when you were on staff with Bob, you guys never lost after Texas.
I know. And it's something, and Cole knows that. I mean, man, you got to talk about it over and over and over and over and over. I mean, it's something you should be talking 365 days a year, just to the mentality, and get to your games on Saturday from your head up. Just make sure that you're in the right place, and that's the hardest thing to do with these young men.
Cole, will we have a big mess with 2 losses trying to figure out who's going to get into the SEC championship game?
Possibly. I mean, look at, like we talked about with the Florida schedule and some of the misconceptions. Let's take that Georgia schedule and put any other 40 teams in college football not named Ohio State against that schedule, and we're talking about it how we talk about Florida schedule. Because it's Clemson, it's Alabama, it's Georgia Tech's even going to be better this year. It's at Texas, but because it's Georgia, we don't really talk about it that way. And it deserves to be talked about in a very similar way. It's just Georgia's better suited to be able to handle it. I don't see Georgia losing 2 games. I do think some of these teams that we talked about are going to separate. If it's a Texas, if it's an Oklahoma, if it's an LSU, someone will sort of pull away from the pack. I think it'll be a little bit clear path. But, I mean, we've seen it before. These, get to the 7th and 8th tiebreaker, whatever it is.
I want to hear what they decide to do. There's some cookie cutter approaches to who's got the win against the highest ranked team in the conference, but they're waiting on that, I guess, for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm interested as well, because it's one of the things when you eliminate divisions. I did not want to see divisions go away, because I just think it gives your kids an extra hurdle to prepare for and want and have a little bit more desire. I mean, listen, we won the West in the Iron Bowl 2 times. We had to get to that last game. We had to win, and one time we had to have Arkansas lose on the same day, and that's how we got in. So
it's a cleaner picture for the kids, too.
Right? Absolutely. And then when you make the championship game, you can still say, "Hey, we won the division. We went to the championship game." You put all those obstacles in front of you. That's a major hurdle that you cleared. It's an accomplishment. And now I just wonder if we're getting so far down the path of, because this is going to be even more playoff or bust now than it was the last few years. I think a lot of people believe, well, now we have 12, it's not playoff or bust. It's playoff or bust even more so now.
I think that's right.
Because you're going to get people sitting kids in championship games. Is what's going to happen. Kirby Smart's going to know he's got a number 1 seed wrapped up in a first-round bye. Why is Carson Beck going to play? I mean, he said that before the championship game last year. So I didn't necessarily want to see divisions go away, but I think that somebody usually separates, and I think that for the most part it should be pretty.
There is incentive, though. You have to win the game to get a bye. You can
Fair.
So that's at least puts a little bit of incentive on that. And we talked a little bit earlier with the director of the college football playoff. Could there be a chance this year that the SEC champion or the ACC champion or the Big 12 champion doesn't have enough wins to outkick the second best other conference?
Yes, but like you just said, they're going to be awarded for being conference champions, which I'm fine with. If you have 12, I'm okay anointing those conference champions and giving them what they deserve. I think there's a chance that you could see 3 teams from the SEC, 2 teams from the Big Ten that we perceive to be better than the ACC champion this year.
What about Alabama? Do you think that they will continue to be doing what they're doing, or will they take a step back a little bit?
I don't think they're taking a step back. They still have a top 3 or 4 most talented roster in this league right now. Now, it's not what it has been. Specifically at wide receiver, defensive line, coach, it's not even close to what it has been in the past. But, and people need to realize this, that you have to separate the two for a moment. Alabama is a massive brand. It does a lot of things on its own. Also, Kalen DeBoer can be an elite coach without Alabama. He's proved it. He is. I think he's that good. I think you look at what he did with Mike Penix, who was sort of an and one point guard, run around quarterback for a little while, and they turned him into an elite pocket passer. I've had conversations with Jake Haener, who played for him at Fresno State, just about how good he is. And they turned Jake Haener into an elite college quarterback. So I think he can help improve Jalen Milroe's game. I think when you talk about Alabama contending for the championship in the SEC, they're probably still either as close or closest to physically being able to deal with Georgia than anybody else. And you look what they did to them in the championship game. I mean, they were throwing Georgia D linemen out the club on a regular basis. And when Georgia plays Kentucky on September 18th, it will have been 1,407 days since a team not named Alabama in the SEC beat Georgia.
That's an incredible stat. I mean, they've been on a roll. Cale and I are going to the game in Auburn. What should we do when we go down there for the weekend? What do we need to see?
Number one, get in early enough to see the eagle fly, because I think it's the coolest tradition in college football. Literally nothing like it. It is amazing.
When does that happen?
I think it's like about an hour before kick, maybe a little less than an hour before kick.
Right.
When the band comes out on the field, it's pretty cool.
I always perceived that it was closer to the game, so
it might be a little closer to actual kick. It's before the team comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So as you know, like the band runs out and the eagle flies, and then the band runs out and kind of does their thing, and then they make their lanes and the team runs out. So it might be like 30 minutes before kick. But with TV too, they sit there and wait for 13 minutes after the teams get out there. So whatever. Go to Acre for dinner if you can.
Okay. Write that down.
If Auburn wins, and obviously not going to be like a cool, fun thing to do, but go downtown and watch them roll Toomer's Corner. It's just really cool if that were to happen. There's a sandwich shop named Mama Goldberg's. You need to go eat there, get the nachos. Basically, they're Doritos with melted cheese, but they steam them, and it's a little bit of a different way that they do it, and they are incredible. And then I would just tell you this, seriously, just walk around. Just walk around campus for the game. Go to Tiger Walk's 2 hours for the game. Go to somewhere on the path of Tiger Walk. Watch the team walk in. And just go check out the campus and how many different places people tailgate, how many different places people hang out, because they will be friendly to you. They will be nice to you. They will talk to you. They'll give you beers. They'll give you food. Like, it's not, this ain't going to Tuscaloosa.
Good deal.
I mean, this isn't you guys, if you were to go to Austin, it's not that deal. Like, they're going to welcome you there, and it's going to be fun for you to walk around before the game and take it all in.
Jacob Hester told us that we'd be welcome in Baton Rouge. Is that true?
See, here's the thing. They're so drunk before the game, they don't know.
Okay.
They're colorblind before the game, so they can't tell. They let anybody come eat their gumbo.
Right.
That's one of the more enjoyable places in college football to watch a game. If you can go to a night game in Baton Rouge, and I kind of hated that you guys got stuck with that one at the end of the year, because it's like, holy hell, man. Like, do we really need to do that?
We'll be there too. So.
But it's I'm going to tell you right now, that place is special. It's the only way I know how to describe it. Like, it's a special, special place. And then you get to Gainesville, and you're on the opposing bench, and this is grandfathered in, and it's literally a gap as big as this table. It's like 2 or 3 feet between where you sit on the bench and the student section. Yeah, and they're calling you out by name the entire time. Every time you come off the field, Kublik, Jones, Pasillo. I mean, just MFing you the entire. It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
A little bit like
and you see the architecture in that stadium, and you're like, this can't be that loud. It is. And then you go to Neyland, and it looks like the bleachers just never stop. It looks like a literal stairway to heaven. Like, it just goes all the way up to the clouds. And they run through that T, man, and they do like an orange spotlight now. That place is special. Williams Bryce is really special. Cocky runs out there, 2001 Space Odyssey. Like, it's awesome, man. Like, there's just a lot of cool things you guys are going to get to experience in this league. And I can't wait to hear 4 or 5 years down the road, the folks who haven't had those experiences talk about how cool they were the first time they did it.
Yeah, we're fired up for that.
Cole, did you ever play in Legion Field?
The last Iron Bowl ever.
Yeah, so whenever I was coaching there, I used to tell these guys, I said, we would play on Saturday, UAB, and the next Saturday, like the Iron Bowl would be there, or Tennessee would come to town. There'd be 1,000 or 2,000 RVs already in the parking lot.
Yep.
7 days out.
Coach, I try to tell people, and you have a very good understanding of this. Not a lot of people outside of Alabama do. The upper deck at Legion Field used to say the football capital of the South. And when everybody asks, like, what's the coolest game you ever played in? For me, it was the 1999 Iron Bowl. We lost that game. But I grew up in Homewood, Alabama, which was 2 miles from Legion Field. I used to take the Max bus, 50 cents, 2 quarters. We'd ride the Max bus down to Legion Field, and we get out and just walk around. We didn't have tickets. We didn't know anybody, but we just wanted to be around it. We try to sneak into the game later. And that place to me was my football capital. Bowl games, the SEC championship game, Alabama, Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn. All Alabama's biggest games were there, all of them. And then you had some other ones like the World League. The Birmingham Barracudas played there. The XFL, the Birmingham Bolts played there. UAB played there. High school championship games there. It was my football mecca. It really was. And so to be a part of that game, the last Iron Bowl ever there, man, that was special for me. Unbelievable.
Cole, thanks for your time, man. We appreciate
absolutely.
it. Always fun talking football with you. Cole Kublik with ESPN. All right, we're behind. T-Back, take us to break. Play some commercials. We'll come back. We'll have more good stuff for you from Dallas.
The countdown to the 20. Advanced Laser and Cataract Center. If you want to see far and you want to see near, you need to come here. This is the middle of the day show, smack dab in the middle of the week. It's a Gunday Hump Day with Mark Rodgers and Cale Gundy, live on 98.1 FM, WWLS, The Sports Animal, thesportsanimal.com, and The Sports Animal.
Back up.
Welcome back. Middle of the day show here from SEC Media Days. I want to thank Cole Kubelik for coming on. He's a part of Cumulus in Birmingham on Jocks. What's Jocks number? 94.5.
Jocks was the big. They're the big station. I had a lot of friends that over there. That was neat. He popped over here. Let's just go. I followed him a little bit here and there, but he remembers, being recruited when I was at UAB. Pat Donahoe was the defensive line coach, which he remembers, and what a great guy. What a sharp person.
Hey, I definitely do. He's really good. I disagree with him on the Florida thing. I mean, I think maybe sometimes he played against Florida, and he played against Florida when they were really good, winning national championships. That doesn't mean Florida's the same today. And if they do get off to a slow start, it's going to be very difficult for them to have to shut out all the outside noise there. So it was great that he was on, but he did disrupt our over-under.
Yeah.
That you had given us one under on South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then the other under is A&M.
Okay. A&M's total is way up there. I think A&M is going to be better. That doesn't mean they're going to win 9 games. So if they do win 9 games, I think they're going to have a say in what happens, who's going to play in Atlanta.
I would agree with that.
Okay. You got 2 overs for us.
I do. The easiest one, Mark, is the Oklahoma Sooners.
Okay.
7.5. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I mean,
it's not going to happen.
They're winning more than 7.
They're going to win more than
8
7. They're going to win. I think they're going to win 9 is what I think. I think that's the magic number.
He just told and explained to us, which again, you don't have to agree with Cole, but how that Auburn game is going to be incredibly difficult. And I'm like, no disrespect to anybody, the Tennessee-Oklahoma game being the biggest regular season game that OU's had in Norman, that's a young person's take that hasn't seen some really big games in the past. I don't, because of the return of Josh Heupel, doesn't make that game be that much more intriguing.
Well, but I keep, again, they're all going to be big games.
Sure.
All of them. If they're big games, when you went to BYU last year and BYU beat you by a touchdown only, when you went to Kansas last year and you got beat, when you went to Stillwater last year and got beat, I guarantee you these road games in the SEC will be as hard, if not harder, for the Sooners.
There have been so many Nebraska games. I remember the 1971 Oklahoma-Nebraska game is still called the game of the century. So there have been at OU the first, just because it's the first game in the SEC and Josh Heupel's coming back doesn't, to me, make that game even the biggest game on this year's schedule.
No, but I believe, I have faith that they're going to do better than that. I think they will. So
all right.
And then the next one is the Georgia Bulldogs.
Over
10.5. I think they're going to win 12, 13 games.
Well, no, you only get regular season.
Oh, regular season.
Yeah, you don't get the bowl game. You don't get the conference championship game.
Oh, well, that's a different deal.
They can only lose one.
That's a different deal. So I'll say my over is Mississippi State.
Okay, I think Mississippi State.
Did you pick Mississippi State?
I did. I'm glad you respect my genius. The Mississippi State win total is way low with their non-conference. They've got 3 games they're going to win. Period. They've got 3 non-conference games that they fall out of bed and win. All they got to do is find one more. And the 4th non-conference game isn't the world's toughest, playing at Arizona State. That's not the craziest game.
What is T-Bag still there?
Yeah.
What's up?
I heard it's raining back there, like storm. We got a little rain.
When I was coming in on Northwest Expressway, everyone was going 20 miles an hour because you couldn't see in front of you.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Hey, T-Bag, do you have any questions that you want us to ask if we find certain people here at SEC Media Days, whether they're players or Texas people here or media? Anything that's popped up?
I mean, I think if you're to get a Texas player on, I'm sure you guys would probably already have that covered, is revenge in the Cotton Bowl, been a talk of the offseason during workouts and stuff.
It's a great question. That is a great question. They can't put all their eggs in a basket, but sometimes They lean to that. I know, I know there's been years when I was at OU, if we got beat, that was a talked about game, but it, we were, 11-2, we were 10-3. So it wasn't like we had a terrible season and we still won most of the other games. I'd like to get Quinn on here. I don't know if we can do that. I think that might be a little tough.
Why?
I don't know if the Texas people will funnel him over here. I've yelled at him a couple of times, and I think that he'll remember me, but I don't know if that means anything to him. Probably don't give a damn.
What was his recruitment like coming out of South Lake Carroll?
Well, it started with Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
so anytime that when Lincoln's kind of got his idea and hands made up or mind made up who he wants, you kind of feel like that was going to be it. We felt like we were going to get him. I mean, he had his whole family up there, and we thought that was going to be it. And then
He was Lincoln. That was his number one choice.
That was 1 to 2. Yeah, he was trying to figure out. I don't know if he was completely sold on him, but that he was a true passer, to be honest. But felt like that he was, had the skills, come from a great place, a great high school program, and he was going to be pretty good. So, well, he just got up. I don't know if we're going to be able to get him. I don't know.
All right, let's take a break. Go down there and see if you can grab him. And then we will come back with.
Here's a question from our live stream for both of you guys. You maybe answer after the break. Do you see any of the current SEC coaches being good enough for the NFL? Maybe after the break.
All right. There's been turnover in the league in the last 4 or 5 years, and there's some coaches that get run out every year, but I think we know the answer to this.
Yeah, there's coaches good enough that can coach in the NFL.
It's just a little different. There's different responsibilities in the NFL and college football. Coaching's coaching, right, Cale? I mean, if you can coach, it doesn't matter where you are, at what level.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to deal with all the NIL stuff. You don't have to worry about recruiting and transfer portal. I mean, you're just a football guy. And management's pretty much the recruit. You got your own draft department, and, they kind of handle all that stuff. You're pretty much just a football guy in that league.
All right, we'll come back. We've got a lot more here for you as we are coming down the home stretch of day 3, the SEC Media Days from the Omni Hotel in Dallas. You're listening to the Middle of the Day show on a Gundy Humpty. Stay tuned.
Don't miss a roast of the morning. Animals all to benefit the Come Up Foundation and the work they do for youth across the metro. The event is Thursday, August 15th at Will Rodgers Theater. For ticket info, to reserve a table, or for sponsorship info, check out thesportsanimal.com, the Sports Animal app, or click on thecomeupkids.com.
The Sports Animal Studios, powered by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Gear up for the latest apparel and accessories at the Thunder Shop. Visit us at Paycom Center or shop online at okcthunder.com/shop.
Welcome back. It's a Gundy Humpty on the middle of the day show. Cale is in from Mathis home. You showed me a couch earlier today that looked like it was kind of frozen in ice, or maybe something that had to be. It would go well in the beach house, although it couldn't put it in your room. You'd have to put it in the middle of the house.
Yeah. I don't know if we get. I need to see that in person. I need to see what it looks like. It's got a little vibe to it. Looked really, really good. But hey, I'm telling you, Mathis is the place to go. They have 3 locations. People, you can go to Oklahoma City, Midwest City, and Tulsa. Okay, the largest selection in the state. Why? Because they're the biggest store. They got the largest selection. They got the best prices because they have so much furniture. You need to come in here and check this out. Always taking advantage of all the newer, lower prices. They have the price drop alerts all over the store, and the prices are so incredibly low. Come in and also check out the everyday low prices that beat Amazon, Wayfair, and other online retailers, hands down. So stop by and see us at Mathis home at 3434 West Reno, and also come in and check out the 34 Bar and Bistro. Delicious. Great place to have lunch and dinner.
I love the SEC coverage, guys. Quick question, seeing Nick Saban on a lot of ESPN coverage this week, should we expect to see him as our lead color guy this fall on ABC ESPN? Thanks. No. He will not be a color analyst for games. He's going to be more of a studio or game day contributor.
How's he going to do, Mark? I know how he's going to do X's and O's. I know he's going to be able to talk ball. But is he going to smile and laugh and have some fun, bring some energy and juice?
I think he has enough gravitas to, if he can get off a couple of good barbs,
has enough
like
what?
he did with
What'd
Texas.
You just say?
I mean, he's got enough pull. Obviously he's got enough pull and influence over people that respect him. He's got enough respect that he'll be able to do it without having to be super animated, I think.
Man, you need to reach through that TV and pull people and suck them in.
Yeah, true. That's true.
And make them feel like they're right down there, right in the middle of that damn field.
Urban Meyer wasn't the most charismatic. Matter of fact, he was the opposite.
He's not doing it anymore.
No, but he was until he got a job that get back into coaching. Bob's good. That he did a really good job, and
but
some
Bob
enthusiasm.
Bob has fun.
Yeah.
Bob is happy, and Bob smiles, and enjoys everything, So,
here's your chance. Win.
Win. No, they got him tied up.
Sorry, Lincoln didn't. Oh, yeah.
The suit's way too high. The pants are way too high. It's too high. Too high, Cisco. Cisco would never come out with that right there.
I loved yesterday that the defensive back from Georgia got the suit at Men's Warehouse. I don't think it was off the rack. I definitely think it was tailored afterwards, but it was a good fit. It was a little snug for my taste. So is Quinn yours. Like a little more room. It's the way you wore a suit when I was growing up. It was a little different than the way you wear a suit now. So
you and I went and did a little shopping yesterday. We went to North Park Mall.
I know. That was fun. I haven't been to the mall in a long time. I felt like I was in high school again. I mean, there was some bargains in there. We saw some interesting things.
Oh, my gosh. There's some expensive stuff in there, too.
There was some very expensive things. Other stores. There were a couple of there was a jacket in the first place that we went. It was $600. Now, it was going to be 30% off, but you can't. It looked like an AC jacket, like an Alan Carter jacket. You can't wear that more than what? Once every 2 months or 3 months. I mean, you can't wear it every week.
If you're Alan Carter, you can.
He's got a selection.
Alan
of those.
Carter can wear it 2 times a month and get away with it. But
he's
that's
got
Alan Carter.
Different jackets that he wears that are kind of loud and out there. And then another store, there was a pair of jeans that was $348 that were half off. It's still pretty expensive,
but they fit really good.
Do you know? How do you know? I didn't see you try them on.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know. Yeah, those jeans are going to have to make me look a lot better than that.
Hey,
than any previous ones.
The little bit of Drake Stoops information.
Okay, Drake Stoops got drafted by the Arlington Renegades, who were in their home city. Basically, they've had a lot more success and won championships since the Dallas Cowboys have.
By the head coach, who happens to be his dad.
Mm-hmm. That has no bearing on whether or not he makes the LA Rams. And he is on their depth chart and has a good chance to make the team. And so training camp is
starts Monday. He goes there Monday.
Okay, it's right around the corner. And he's done a good job in their OTAs and things like that. So all that means is, no, he's not property of the Arlington Renegades. They don't supersede the NFL draft rights. And clearly, unless Drake would just rather play for the Renegades, which is not the case. So if something happens, he's not playing in the NFL in the next 3 or 4 years, and we hope he has a 10-year career, then the Renegades can have it.
Yeah. So it's good news. It's so we don't want people to think that he got cut by the Rams and he's doesn't have a chance to play in the NFL. So still with the Rams.
He's got a chance. This text from the 405-886 prefix. Did you guys have an Orange Julius? We didn't have a hot dog on the stick either, although Cale was looking for a girl in one of those hats that they wore at that place. I think Orange Julius is done. They're out of business. They're
Cisco says no.
Cisco says no.
I think Cisco, you all need to find and get one of those tonight.
We've got plans.
Dairy Queens now. Oh, Dairy Queens?
Orange Julius are inside of specific.
Okay, well, we got Dairy Queens in Oklahoma.
If I go to Dairy Queen, the Orange Julius is not even going to be close to near what I would order.
Is there Taco Cabanas or Taco Casa?
Taco Cabana, I don't think there are any in Oklahoma. There's one of the originals that we drove by here in Dallas the other night. Taco Casa is a Texas Tex-Mex chain that has moved its way to Oklahoma, and it's excellent. It's very good. There's one right by your house. What about, I think we're going to Ferris Wheel Barbecue tonight. It's in the Texas Monthly 50.
There he is.
Top 100.
There's the legend right there, Mark, right in front of you.
Feinbaum was around earlier today, but I mean, he has got an issue with his pants, and right now, as I'm looking at him, I swear to God, he's trying to pull his pants up.
I mean, people would, think the guy got his ass chewed out.
He has no ass. His pants are about to fall off.
He's got a pelt on it, and literally, hey, love the guy, does a great job. But
I saw a
something
picture.
happened to Teabag. Looked like a shark got him. I think he might Shark Week.
Well, it's funny because whenever he was in Norman for whenever OU was introduced into the SEC, I saw a picture that someone put on Twitter of his pants, and I know what you're all talking about. Yeah, it just looks like he has no ass. Looks like they're about to fall down at any second.
If you want to talk sag, that is sag. I can promise you.
He does. He really is good at getting things fired up. And as we saw our good friend Gottlieb tweet out last night, that he has an incredible ability for people to hate the things that he says. And I think Feinbaum has that in his DNA too. But he is a super nice person. I mean, he was very cordial to us and Louis a couple weeks ago and has been nice here. And he's got a lot of demands and people want to
there's
spend
lots
time with
there's
him.
lots of DNA here. Really good.
We've not seen many super fans. The guy, our friend next to us, Doug, was telling us that there's an Auburn fan that painted his dog like a tiger. We saw pictures of that on the internet.
We had Doug on the Morning Animals yesterday, and he told us about that. And I looked it up. It's an incredible dog.
How do you paint a dog? Is that something that anybody? Do you know, Cale? You got a guy that can paint a dog?
No, but you got to find the right dog that's got the right temperament that'll allow you to paint him. Maybe if he's just an old dog and he just lays there, or he just stands there, and you take the brush and you hit him with the orange,
especially the face,
and then the black, and then the orange, and then the black.
That dog, I promise you that SPCA does not condone the measures taken to paint that dog. They've got to knock him out. He has to go under to get his face painted like that. No way it's not possible.
Hey, did Teabag get a chance to do the over-under, the games?
Well, we'll give him a chance. He can do that the final segment.
Okay.
If he wants to participate in that.
Maybe he doesn't want to.
The Alabama, there's an Alabama super fan down there today. But they are there's a vigilance in which they guard the entrance to the radio row here. That's pretty significant. Those people don't feel like they can come up the elevator. But, hey, maybe they'll get a good meal at Bob's Chop House downstairs, right outside of that. All right, we have a break scheduled we will return. Cale is in for Mathis home today. We're going to tweet out the picture of this couch that they've got at Mathis home. That's just super cool. That won't fit in Cale's room at the beach house. We'll have much more coming up. Stay tuned to the middle of the day show on a Gundy Humpty.
about can we get the guy that wouldn't let Nick Saban in?
Was it this
great.
woman? I mean,
No.
I talked to her when we came in this morning. She said she's
think
usually used to working at the Texas Star.
No, I think it's that guy.
Where?
This guy right here, in the black jacket.
He's event staff. Okay.
Yes, I think I saw the video. I saw a picture on, I don't know, Facebook or Twitter or something. They showed it to the guy that wouldn't let Nick Saban in. I like that.
That's still pretty funny.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have to walk around with a credential. I could see that would be very, very frustrating with him. Okay, we tasked T-Bag to give us his 2 overs, 2 unders from the SEC this year. We've got 4 more left. Tomorrow, I haven't heard from Florida. We had a big disagreement here with Cole Kubelik on Florida's status, and they're over-under for the league this year. So, Bag, what do you have? Let's first start with your unders in the league.
Okay, I'll start off with the oh crap, I just realized I picked 3 overs. So I'll start off with my first under.
Okay.
And that is the Texas Longhorns. I think Texas is a 10-2 football team, but that's still hitting the under. I mean, at Michigan, second game of the week. Then you got OU. That's always, you never know who's going to win that game. Then right after OU, in the emotion of that game, you play Georgia in the biggest game that Texas probably held and Lord knows how long in Austin. And then also the Texas A&M game. I don't care if Texas A&M is 0-11 going into that game. The first, Texas A&M game on Thanksgiving in
a long time.
A long since 2011, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, that game is a toss-up to me too. So I see them going, 2-1. Maybe 1-2 against Michigan, OU, and Georgia, and then that Texas game. And then I can see them, slipping up against maybe at Arkansas if my guy Sam Pittman, sometimes when those coaches get fired mid-season, there's all of a sudden
oh wow,
some
you're
juice.
You're just calling for the firing of.
I'm not calling for the firing, but
Sam Pittman in the middle of the season.
I'm not calling for it, but I'm just saying if it's either Sam Pittman's there and they're rolling, and that game's going to be tough for Texas and Fayetteville. Or maybe Arkansas, maybe gets a second breath of fresh air.
If you guys are wrong, and Texas goes over the 10.5 win total, then we won't have any narrative next year to not talk about Texas being back. They've done it 2 years in a row, and they've done it in the SEC. And
let me tell you, if Texas beats Georgia at home, it's a wrap. All we will hear is Texas is the new team of the SEC.
If they beat Georgia at home, then there'll be a ton of complaining about what the how they lost Oklahoma and beat Georgia. Okay, so you can give us 3 overs if that's the way that it's presented. You don't have to look for another under.
Okay. And then I'm also going to go, I'll go, the 2 Pander picks, Texas under, and then I'm going to go OU over. I think, 4-0 in conference, I think OU is going to do. And then all you have to do is just go 500 in conference. I know the conference schedule is super tough, but I mean, I think OU is good enough and they're talented enough and they're coached well enough to go 500 in the SEC. And I'm even more confident after, yesterday hearing Brent Venables. He sounds more confident than ever. Jackson Arnold was flawless in all his interviews. Danny Stutzman's obviously one of the most confident guys, you'll ever hear talk to. So I don't see OU going anything below 8-4. I'm with Cale. I think 9-3, 10-2 is kind of that ballpark for them.
The one thing I don't want to fall into, guys, is
here comes the bashing again, folks. Here comes OU bashing.
I
Go to Stillwater, Mark.
I don't want to fall into Brent's confidence and use that as a litmus test because Brent Venables is always
talks like that.
He is a glass full guy. He's not a glass half full. He's a glass full.
But yesterday he was short, sweet, and to the point. And I feel like kind of, especially in the 2022 season, then a little last year after the Kansas and OSU losses, sometimes it just seemed like he was just kind of, just going on and on, kind of dragging out conversations, running in circles. And I think yesterday he had kind of opportunities to do that with some in-depth questions he was getting. I mean, it's probably the most in-depth questions he was ever asked yesterday.
T-Bag.
And he seemed, he had his answers ready to go, and he didn't shy away from anything.
If you'd have the opportunity to sit in one of his many 5-hour staff meetings, you would know exactly what I'm talking about.
Wow.
5 hour.
If that was going to win games for him this year, then I'd take the over too. I think he's doing a whole lot better with the media. I don't.
All right. Well,
some
even
of
if
my-
Brent
some of my-
Venables seems scared yesterday, I still like OU over 7.5.
Some of
How
my
about
friends
that?
that I know that I met later in life that have been around Norman all their life, that they profess that they can't stand Stillwater. They just don't like going to the city and all that. I don't really trust those people. Like I'll go to Stillwater anytime. If some OU lover wants me to go to Stillwater, I'll be fine with that. That's a good town. You do a lot of fun things there, right?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
T-Bag, who's next?
And then the next over, I'm going to go over 8.5 with Tennessee. Looking at their schedule, I mean, they're tough games. I'm seeing NC State out of conference is tough, but that's at home. I like Tennessee in that game. I think, their defensive fronts just kind of overpower NC State in that one. Then, you got OU, Alabama, and Georgia. They can lose all three of those games and go 9-3 easily, and that's over 8.5. I mean, look,
are the other
just
nine easy? Are the other 9 easy? Because that's the difference in losing one of the other.
All right, so their conference schedule starts at OU, at Arkansas, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, Vanderbilt.
One more time, T-Bag. Go again.
At OU,
Okay.
at Arkansas,
Yep.
Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, at Georgia, at Vanderbilt.
If they find a
5
way
and
to
3.
win one of those games, Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, especially if it's Georgia or Alabama, then they've got a really, really good shot to be in the SEC championship game because they'll be in 6-2 with a potential tiebreaker against one of the other better teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee, and like I said, even if they lose all three of those games, I can see them still going 9-3. Don't want to say very easily, but pretty easily. I mean, I still think Kentucky's tough. Florida gives them fits every year. They've beaten Florida twice since 2000. Florida gets them fits no matter what, so that's gonna be tough. But they have that game at home. Last time they had them at home, they blew them out. So, and then my last over, I'm gonna go with Missouri just because that schedule is, I mean, just unbelievably easy. I mean, they got at Alabama, then OU at home, and then other than that, at Texas A&M will be difficult. But over 8.5 for Missouri, or over 9.5, I believe it is. Yes, 9.5. I think Missouri goes 10-2, and I think it's going to be a weak 10-2, but it's 10-2.
Non-conference or layups.
Yes,
that helps them.
I mean, their conferences. I mean, their last 3 games are at South Carolina, at Mississippi State versus Arkansas. Those are 3 of the bottom feeders in the league.
Read me their schedule, T-Bag, please.
So you got Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College to start off with.
Okay.
Vanderbilt
4
at home.
Yep.
At A&M.
That's not. That could be.
Okay.
That could be a loss.
All right.
At UMass.
Okay.
Auburn at home.
Okay.
At Alabama.
Okay.
OU at home.
Okay.
At South Carolina.
Okay.
At Mississippi State.
Okay.
And then Arkansas at home.
I had 9-3.
I mean, that's.
But what is it? What's the number?
9.5.
It's 9.5.
Yeah. Could be 10. Yep.
I think they split with Alabama and OU. I think Missouri is really good. They have an NFL quarterback. They got a lot of returning guys. They got one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in college football.
I don't think the
They've
offense
been
is the
hitting.
issue. It's the defense.
Yeah.
That's the problem on the other side of the football. Cale, tell us one more time about Mathis Home.
Mathis Home picked from 3 locations: Oklahoma City, Midwest City, and Tulsa. It's the largest selection in the state. Something for everyone at the lowest prices every day. Also, you can check out many of the Mathis Sleep locations. Just get in your car. You can probably drive 30 minutes. You can probably find a Mathis Sleep location. They have all the top mattresses, brands like Tempur-Pedic and Purple. Mathis is always very fast, free delivery on everything in the store. They also offer complimentary interior design service, which I think is really, really good. They have probably a half a dozen people that are in their interior design. Come in there, sit down, talk to them, let them just kind of tell them who you are, kind of what you like, what you're looking for, and they will design your room for you. But great place. Also, great place to come in there in the Oklahoma City store, 34 Bar and Bistro, and get a great lunch. But stop by in Mathis Home, 3434 West Reno.
All right. Had a lot of guests today. We appreciate that. We got one more day to go for SEC Media Days. Tomorrow it is Texas A&M, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Florida. Those will be the teams that we have tomorrow for you. We will hand it over to the Ultimate. Stay tuned. More coming up right here.
Gideon Hamilton.
Oh, Gideon
Ultimate.
that's right. The Ultimate.
Yeah.
The Ultimate was playing his Be Happy Friday music yesterday, so the Ultimate is out. Gideon is in today for Jim. Stay tuned to Sports Animal.
98.1 FM, WWLS.
See you, fellas.
On